You've hit the button.
Yeah, I
Hit
did
the
that
button.
thing where I hit the button.
Hey,
I
everyone watching
Right.
this, listen.
Right,
I
slurs.
was
Drop him if you got him.
guys before we hit live.
Oh, you're
No.
cruel. You're
I know
cruel.
that we've hit live, but I just wanted to let everyone watching this know that I dropped my new hot take to these guys in here, and I'm not dropping it after this. So yeah.
A lot of
It's
trust
a
in
Y.A.R.P
you.
exclusive.
Yeah, none of you
Yes.
get to hear it.
Very Y.A.R.P exclusive.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're the privileged ones, and you guys aren't special. I'm so sorry, Southpaw. Why do you do this to them? You're
They
torturing
know, and they have
No
to
one
stay
knows who
quiet.
we are.
They have to
Yeah.
stay quiet for over a year
That's
before I drop the hot take publicly myself.
well, that's fine
Or we
because
just have to refuse to accumulate an audience at that time.
for a whole year. For a
Should
whole
be
year.
easy. Yeah.
By the way, where is the link? Where is the link
I'm
to
passing it
the
over right
stream?
now. I like to make
Okay.
Southpaw's just like, where's the link? I'm like, ah.
Because he's gonna tweet like a hot take revealed on Y.A.R.P. They heard the hot take. You don't get to hear it.
Our
Our
viewership
entire
skyrockets
audience
into
of
the
like
hundreds.
5 people is going to be people begging us to tell them what it is.
DMs for the next year. It's like,
yeah, they're just like, tell us. Ah!
I love that with one video, I have just basically terrified a bunch of people with the prospect of me having any hot takes. Like,
oh yeah, the Don on Twitter was like grilling you, trying to get that.
Yeah,
oh,
he's
the
like,
Don has been trying to find a hot take of his own. It's been so sad to watch.
Yeah,
It's just
he comes up with a bunch of random ones, dude. Like he tried with the Lion King. There's a lot of people doing
he
this.
tried with
trying to-
Zemo. He tried with Civil War. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, dude,
Oof.
please,
try.
you can't do the hot take thing. I can do the hot take thing.
Well,
I literally
Matt's doing the whole Civil War is bad and BVS good hot take. He's doing a pretty good job with that, right?
Yeah, this new one. Oh, you're talking about Mastic? Oh god damn, dude. No, dude, seriously. I try not to have hot takes, but literally I sat down to watch this thing that everyone said was really, really good, and it wasn't good. And I kept on giving it like maybe I have to rewatch it. No, it's really bad. It's really and it was just simply applying the same standards that I would use against anything else and just watching it critically. And there's, some of it's decent, but a lot of it's really, really bad. That's all I can say. I'd say.
I was about to say, like, you don't need to go searching for a hot take. You don't need to think in your mind. You're like, maybe The Lion King is bad. It's just like, just watch something. And if it's bad/good, that's it. Like, if you watch The Predator and you're like, wait a minute, there's a lot of problems that people did not notice inside of this film. And they haven't noticed ever since they watched it originally. And you're like, Predator's bad? And then you're just like, yeah, XYZ, all this. But like, at least from what I remember, that movie holds up. That's the case with a lot of movies. So just watch something, man. Criticize it the same way you'd criticize The Last of Us Part 2 or The Last Jedi or any number of the things that we criticize all the time. Just apply that same standard to that.
Yeah, the take part is the hard part. Having a hot opinion is really not that difficult. You just say something people like is bad. You actually have to back it up. That's the work.
Yeah, that really is the work.
Yeah, just watch stuff, apply the standard that you always use, and then like as you do it, and maybe you do come across something where you're like, oh, holy shit. That was just the case with, listen, Spider-Man 2 was a complete accident. I did not go into that movie hoping to have a hot take. It just happened, all right?
You liar.
No, I was, listen, if it weren't for SK pointing out stuff about the cop should have busted Kingpin before the story even started, it's like, okay, let's see how that criticism applies to Spider-Man 2. Oh, holy shit, it's actually valid in Spider-Man 2. Oh.
You gotta admit, dude, you went after that movie because of the joke that SK did. You had for that movie because SK was
That's
praising
true. So, well, okay, listen. So it was the bank scene. I'm like, okay, this is a disaster. And then the tentacle blade, and it's like, this is horrible. And then the Harry and Otto scene is like, fuck, this is done. Like, and then everything else just kind of unraveled. But of course, I was so happy to do it. Like I was gleefully doing it because of the Jade Jonah Jameson joke in SK's video. And that was just like that video. People don't get it. The EFAP audience does not even realize that video just so happened to be like the biggest Uno reverse card on YouTube.
You had to be in the Spider-Man 2 stinky group that we were in. Yeah, it's just it was months of rewatching that video, rewatching Spider-Man movies, and going over arguments. It lasted for so long, and it was just like I've never seen you like that, just obsessed to just tear down everything SK.
We might have
so many conversations, so many hours of content.
We might have to just tape you to a chair then, Southpaw, and make you just watch High Top, just like gush over Spider-Man 2.
Dude, if I had an opportunity to talk to High Top, if I ever like High Top is legit. If I find out that he's going to a certain video con or something, I'm going. I will totally go, and I will
Oh
find
no, that's
him.
how we get school shooters, man. Don't push that button.
No,
Jesus
no,
Christ.
I will seek him out.
3 minutes, dude. Seriously, like I do not think he would ever do that. For one, he doesn't usually do that type of a thing, at least from what I've seen. But it's just like it would not take that long. All you need to do is present a couple arguments to it, and it'd be over. You'd prove it.
High Top, is he the one who thinks that Batman 89 is a bad movie because
No.
Well, it's a bad Batman movie. It's a bad adaptation.
Because he liked it so much. That was the end of the
It
video.
doesn't represent
I am
Batman.
the problem with this movie was the summation of his
I
argument.
bought too many toys.
Oh no, that movie's bad.
Video is so bad, dude. And seriously, his condescending little comment that he pinned at the bottom of it was just like, people didn't pay attention in the video. It's a bad Batman movie, not a bad movie. It's like, dude, why did you even make this video then? Like, is that all that you have to say?
And we went through that video line by fucking line. We did not see how that argument was made at all. So
yeah, we got our first like
yourself.
Comments from somebody that just went like oh, they just ripped him apart, they didn't let him speak. It was just like, oh, so you guys
we paused too much. They literally said we paused too much, and I'm like,
love that argument. People are like, you
That
couldn't even
must be new.
the arguments. You were pausing too much. It's like, what do you think? Whatever.
Can I just highlight how fucking ugly this animation in the Tom and Jerry movie looks? It looks really.
That movie is really bad, by the way.
It's horrible.
Why they insist on going in?
So here's the funny thing. The other day, well, so it happened a couple days ago. I sat down to watch it, and some other movie started playing. And it was the superhero movie, I think.
You actually watched it?
Wait, you actually
No.
saw you
No,
almost,
I'm
I almost immediately just leaped at you again, just being like, you watched
I am staying completely blind as possible, at least for the EFAP movies on it. So
we're gonna need like I don't
saw clips, man. What I've seen looks pretty bad. I didn't see it obviously, but yeah, it's bad.
The fact that we've been dissecting Snyder Cut stuff just like offhand, like Joker dressed up like Jesus.
The Snyder Cut's gonna be.
We live in a religion, Batman.
The Snyder Cut is going to be worse than Justice League. That's my prediction because
worse. Really?
Because I was thinking that it was gonna be better, and I realized, you know what? BVS and Man of Steel are so fucking broken. It's kind of unreal. Justice League is really bland but kind of straightforward. And it's bad. Like, it's still badly written, and it still has loads of inconsistencies. But in terms of like how broken the plot is, it doesn't reach BVS or Man of Steel levels of just pure insanity.
I was about to say, if there really is, like, if the rumors are true, there's like an hour-long nightmare sequence inside of it that's all with Darkseid and just all set in that reality that we saw in BVS, and it's like that'll definitely make the film worse. It'll destroy the pacing of the movie. So yeah,
I think having another movie within the movie in a dream sequence where nothing actually matters because it's a fucking dream, that's something you'd like use as a meme if you're if you're someone who studies lit or just kind of any English studies, that would literally be a joke to you. So to actually do that in a fucking movie is beyond insane.
I mean, the nightmare sequence was like one of the most pace-destroying scenes in BVS.
Oh yeah, it's how you originally get. like, so that's what kind of fucks with you on the Batman killing people thing. Because when it happens in the dream sequence, you're like, all right, it just happens in the dream. Then he just
Post-apocalyptic, yeah.
yeah, well, it's like that's like, all right, it's the apocalypse. He probably would ditch his rule, maybe. Who cares? But
Mhm.
then he's like fucking running people through with the Batmobile, like gunning down vans. It was just like,
And then they act like he grows up. That's always been my
yeah,
trouble. Is after that, it's like he's above it, but it's like you're not, dude. For one, you kill people in the warehouse, and for two, it's just like it's a little too late at this point to start being a good person. It's like I don't know.
Also,
Again.
he started branding people knowing that it would get them killed. So the rule has never fucking mattered to him at all. So I don't know where we're even getting the argument.
I honestly think it's really weird how like it just. I know like we're supposed to like infer from like the dead Robin outfit that's like that's what pushed him over the edge. When it's like I like it almost makes me argue for the adaptation argument. I'm not, but it's just like really this is what pushes him over the edge when Batman himself has like lost a lot of people.
Something that important to the character being relegated to a fucking Easter egg is weak. That is so weak.
And plus,
well, it still doesn't make sense because the whole thing is if this is the same universe where Robin is dead because of the Joker and Batman has no qualms about killing people,
the Joker would
why
be
is
dead.
Jared Leto still alive?
Yeah, the Joker would be uber dead.
He's protected by all that SoundCloud money.
Luke the First in chat asked, "Who would win in a fight, JXE or a banana peel on the ground?" And I would like to answer this with Grug would.
God damn
I don't know if you guys have you guys seen Croods 2?
I've watched like a clip
I
of
have
it.
a very long time ago. I saw the Croods 1. I actually quite liked it, and then I never. I think I saw the second one, but I don't remember very well.
I've been watching you lose your mind over it.
It's
okay.
Went hard for that movie, dude.
I unironically love that movie, and Evan doesn't love it, but I love it.
Third act, I'll give you that much. That was the best part easily, but it's like I'm not quite in your like 9/10 out of 10. I'm like, okay, that might be overplaying it a little bit, but it's still fun as hell.
It was a better sequel than Last of Us 2, you know,
Yeah,
about
easily.
the same
Well, both sequels are, yeah. It's just I think that the character stuff in that, like the dynamics is really well written, and all the characters are well developed, and the jokes I found really funny, and it's beautifully animated. It's a overall very enjoyable experience. Almost want to do a video on it, but
one is the one where they meet like the more advanced tribe guy who invented shoes so they could walk across the shark plates. Right. Because there's another caveman movie I keep thinking of whenever I think of the Croods that was all like claymation and it was about football.
Somebody just said that Croods 2 is all over their grocery store and they refuse to buy it.
It's
oh no,
dude, it's really good.
It's actually really enjoyable.
Yeah, I laughed.
As Tisby as I just made it sound with my like oversimplified description. It's a lot of fun.
I remember joking about that. Is it's like I had criticisms, but it's like I don't think that any of my criticisms would put it lower than a 7. And it's like that really is better than the majority of movies, games, or anything else under the sun being released. It's like it's infinitely better than something like WandaVision. So it's like, yeah, you should probably watch it. It's good. It's good compared to most stuff.
I don't think you're gonna hate it. I think, well, unless you're like Remy DeShine and you're really pretentious.
Well, Ninja, so you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So would this have the Shazam effect where we're just watching it, a joke hits me, and it's like I just got punched in the stomach with comedy? Is it gonna?
I think the jokes are really solid. I mean, if you liked the first one, I think you'll like the second one a lot. The characters really do a good job of following through from the first one. And the first one had some really good character moments, especially towards the end of the film. So if that one definitely hits you in the feels, the second one will too.
See, I didn't care for the first one, and the funny thing is that I watched the second one before I saw the first one. I got dragged to see it. Yeah, so my nephews visited. One of them wanted to see Croods 2, the others didn't. But I was like, okay, I'll take you to see Croods 2, in the theater. Was not expecting anything decent. Laughed my ass off almost like the whole way through. Multiple points where I was doubled over in my seat. I was crying, like laughing that hard. And I really enjoyed it. Like I was following on exactly what kind of, basically the movie told me exactly what it was going to be within the first like 3 minutes. I'm like, oh, this is like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Okay, all right, that's the kind of animation they're going for. And I really enjoyed it. It was a very fun time.
There's a very small part of me that wants you to end that story, but my nephews thought it was shit.
No. What's funny is that we
Completely
returned home and we were gushing about it, and then the other nephews that didn't want to see it because they didn't like the first Croods at all, they wanted to see it the next day. So my mom and my sister took them to see it while I was at work, and everyone loved it. So
I love the idea though of like if your nephew said it was shit, and then you're just like, well, you just got bad taste.
Yeah. No,
your critiques are poor, you little shit.
Like, listen here, accurate reference.
We're talking about a nephew that for school, like as a school assignment, made he wrote an essay on why The Last Jedi is terrible. So no,
that kid's going places.
Oh yes, he's pretty based. So but yeah, we've got like this video to cover about some movie that came out in like 2017, I think, The Mummy.
Yes. So
yeah, there's a bit of backstory to this whole thing where the Y.A.R.P crew were talking about guilty pleasure movies.
Yeah, we were talking about guilty pleasure movies,
and you like the 2017 Mummy, the Tom Cruise one?
No,
that's your guilty pleasure?
No,
I mean that should make you feel guilty. It's fucking abysmal. But no, it was more just movies that often get treated as though they're not good, but they're a lot of fun anyways, which we saw a lot. Anytime we would look at a movie that's considered a guilty pleasure, the criticism was mostly just, oh, it's campy, oh, but it's a lot of fun. And none of it had anything to do with how good the writing was. So we started going through things like The Princess Bride. Everybody fucking loves that movie because it's great. But it gets treated like a guilty pleasure because it's very campy. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I would never call that movie a guilty pleasure. Like, I don't know if anyone said that, but holy crap, it's a great film. It's a solid movie.
It's probably one of the best romance movies ever made. It's really great. I think we spent the entire or most of the guilty pleasure episode of Y.A.R.P just gushing about it because we kept getting sidelined by how great it is.
Yeah, that was
one of the movies that came up was Alien versus Predator, which we also watched. But more relevantly, we also watched The Mummy. And we did have some criticisms here and there, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
But overall, pretty fucking good.
It's fucking... So, I'll lay down some personal backstory tisms. For like, let's just say around 15 years, once a summer I would watch both The Mummy and Mummy Returns for like an entire day. Meaning like that was the only movie I would watch. So I really fucking love these movies. And I didn't realize that the first Brendan Fraser Mummy is really fucking good. The second one, while fun as all hell, Mummy Returns is like, its writing is actually not that great.
Yes.
And it's weird how like this gets associated with being a guilty pleasure when it's like it's actually really fucking good. Like and it's like as part of like a Mummy shitposting group. It's like of course all they're gonna be doing is like gushing about it. It's like, all right, I'll watch it with a critical eye. I'll bring these two idiots along. And it was just like, oh, yeah, I was right. And then like one or two errors would happen.
It's not perfect, but I would say it's very campy, but like I last year my local theater was playing old movies. That's how they kind of like scraped by as like during COVID.
Yeah, during Corona.
And some of those movies that I saw in the theater, like among others, like we saw Jaws and Jurassic Park, but also the Indiana Jones movies. Now, I walked out on Temple of Doom. I can't stand Temple of Doom. I think Temple of Doom is really bad.
Oh,
like
man.
literally just kind of unwatchable. It's just not entertaining in the least.
Oh.
But
What?
Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade hold up, and they are very silly and campy movies. Just the right kind of campiness. I don't have an issue with camp. Like, I hate it when people criticize the Raimi trilogy based on their camp. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the style that they're going for. And I give a lot of I will give a pass based on, okay, you're going for a campy style, you're going for a hard Toon Force kind of style with this. I'm totally there with you. But then when it comes to like, again, Temple of Doom, just I don't know why I can't stand that movie. I'd have to go through it with Evan, I guess. But
I'm really sad now because
Might have
See,
something
this
to
is
do
a,
with Willie
a big
Scott and
Y.A.R.P
the
thing.
contrivances, and
yeah.
it's insufferable, man. She's a horrible character.
Oh yeah,
and it's
Willie is
Yeah.
insufferable.
Look, I again, I will give a pass to camp, but I do have my limits, and one of those limits is you jump out of the plane and you use an inflatable raft, like a dinghy, as a parachute, and you survive that fall. Like, no.
that is
That's
not as bad as the nuclear refrigerator, but that's in that same
Well, no, we
league.
don't
Like,
acknowledge that one. And this is kind of what I've been giggling about in the background. See, here on Y.A.R.P, Ninja and me both rate Temple of Doom as the lowest of the only three that we acknowledge exist. Meanwhile, Wyatt considers it subjectively his favorite. So
it's
we,
my favorite
we
of
rear
the
that a little bit
Well,
over
here's
that.
the thing. I know fucking Willie is insufferable, but that cult stuff and the fact that I guess I'm gonna need to rewatch it again because the more I think about it, I realize like the internet just kind of tore the trilogy apart with the whole idea that Indy does nothing for the whole.
I've always disagreed with that stance. I always hate that the
It's
Raiders of the Lost Ark is rendered inert because the Nazis would have just killed themselves. I hate that argument.
Yeah, the more
that's a very terrible argument because Indiana Jones doesn't know that.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It's like it's
based
not
on
like
what the characters know.
Yeah, it's within his character to do everything that he does, and he does influence certain things inside of that movie. It does not
Yes,
matter. It's character centralized.
Also,
Right.
this is more of a detail, but there were Nazis involved in the whole plot that were not actually on the island.
Well,
So the Nazis still knew it was a weapon of mass destruction, and now they knew how to use it. So him locking it away, he actually did a fucking lot.
Well,
Oh,
in
yeah.
terms of the Nazis and the they would have known how to use it. The argument was then be the Nazis would have just opened it up again. Everybody would have died at the island, and then it just kind of would have just created this whole I don't want to say circle jerk argument. Because that's just a weird way of phrasing it. But they just constantly would have just kept dying to the arc because they would have just kept opening it up, and all the recordings were destroyed, so they wouldn't have known what it does. And possibly would have even sped up the war if they did bring it to Berlin, because then Hitler would have just opened it up and it would have bam, like.
Well, if they go to retrieve it and they find all of their own soldiers dead, they would have an idea of what the fuck it does. It's like, oh, we don't open this in Berlin, we open this in London. And we end the war early, but on our side. It's like, you still end up in that kind of circular logic.
For the longest time, I thought that Indiana Jones somehow like held his breath underwater on top of the submarine for like days, I guess. And then as I rewatched the movie, I was like, oh wait, the submarine is never really shown going underwater or emerging from the water, so it's possible that it never submerged.
I was gonna say,
yeah, and it's a U-boat, so it's very possible they didn't do that.
Yeah,
I would have to say that he would have had to go in because U-boats, like a U-boat, would not remain surfaced for long. U-boats like spent for like a good total. I'm trying to remember from like this big World War II book that like my parents forced me to read. Like U-boats didn't really spend that much time surface. That's why they were like they went.
Well, probably when they were in combat, right? This might not be one of those things. It might be one that's just meant to go back to that base on the island.
Yeah, they're never really in combat. They're just traveling from point A to point B.
Fair enough.
Also, but my favorite Indiana Jones movie is actually The Last Crusade.
I think mine might still be rated as The Lost Ark, but I love The Last Crusade. I would argue that's the best because it's like the character material, especially with Indy's father and Sala and all the other characters. It's really good stuff. Like, it brings all the characters who are like not as focused on instead of the originals, and it makes them the focus, and it's fantastic stuff.
The amount of personality that Sean Connery adds as Indy's dad is just unmatched.
Oh,
He's
and
really fucking good.
the chemistry between Connery and Harrison Ford is just incredible in that movie.
The only scene that I have kind of an issue with is the scene when they're on the Zeppelin and they're like, well, fine, we're sitting down, let's talk. And Indy has almost nothing to say when I went like, you saw the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, you don't like that?
Well, it's mainly because like Indy has a lot to say.
A lot to say about like adventures that he's had, but not necessarily something to say to his dad to like talk about what's going on. The whole point is like he's like asking him to make up for lost time, and it's like, what can I do about that now? He's basically saying like,
fair enough. It's
just I simultaneously have nothing to say and also too much to ever actually articulate.
Yeah, because
it's a very relatable feel.
First thing that would have blurted out of my mouth would have been like, so I saw the Ark of the Covenant. But
maybe don't leave with that.
Fair enough. Well, then again, no social skills on my end, so it probably Indy not really having anything to say probably does make a lot of sense. So, what do you guys think about Nostalgia Critic?
I've never liked him. It's a lot of critics have this type of at least on YouTube, the whole idea of like jokes, and they mix that in with the film. Like, they pick a movie and then they structure their review around jokes and the film like in chronological order and any number of orders, and that style's never been for me, and I feel like Nostalgia Critic kind of popularized that. I'm more of a fan of the type of reviews that like go for a more analytical stance and maybe implement jokes in like subtly, but it's like I feel like criticism is not usually what you're in for when you watch a Nostalgia Critic video.
What, you're telling me you're not a fan of plays movie, makes joke, eats a Skittle?
Not really. I don't even like Red Letter Media all that much. They do similar things to that type, and it's like instead of their like best of the worst stuff. And I mean, their stuff is admittedly better edited, and I feel like they have better comedic timing, but I'm just, as a whole, I'm not really a fan of that. I'm just like, dude, I can do this by myself. I really don't need people to watch the movie for me and make fun of it.
I feel like this is gonna sound like a weird sentence. I kind of agree with what FBI was saying. I used to like him, but then again, I was a retarded kid back then. So it's like, oh, did I ever find him funny? So we watched his Grinch episode for the Christmas special for Y.A.R.P, and it was really bad because his whole argument was just like, it's not the cartoon, and it was just like, do you actually have an argument, Critic, or are you just gonna?
Gee, I wonder if that's gonna be relevant.
Well, it's interesting. I used to watch Nostalgia Critic a lot back in 2008 through 2010, I think. When he was at the height of his popularity, basically. And yeah, used to like his style of reviewing, and in the sense that he's just making jokes about these movies. And that was the kind of thing that I would used to do a lot, is just kind of like riffing on stuff as I watch it if I think it's bad, or if there's just something about the movie that I find like, I don't know, kind of easy to make fun of, or irresistible to make fun of, rather. There was this one thing that we did. It was for my dad's birthday. We were watching some animated movie that he watched when he was much younger, and they were like, "Okay, don't riff on this." Like, okay, yeah. So we were watching it. It's called The Point. Have you guys heard of The Point?
No,
I've heard many points, but
Um,
what's special about this one?
Well, it's very odd because it's set in a world where everyone in this kingdom has like a pointy head, and the protagonist is this kid named Oblio, who doesn't have a pointy head. He has a round head, and it's a very strange movie. I want to actually force Evan and Buzz to watch it with me, because it's quite a trip, but I was specifically instructed I could not make fun of it. Within 15 minutes, everyone, including the people who were like, "Don't riff on this," we were riffing on it. It was like impossible to resist the urge to
Is
make
this
fun of
it?
that
This
movie.
animated, like 2D hand drawn thing?
Yes,
What
with
am I
like
looking at? This is
Harry Nilsson music. Yeah,
I've
the
got the cover
hell?
up, so I may as well actually
yeah,
have.
This
Hold on.
looks bizarre. Okay.
yeah.
Show it on screen, I guess. But yeah, when it comes to like the Nostalgia Critic and his whole style, I don't know if he necessarily started it, but the whole we will make jokes about the movie that are actually our criticisms delivered as jokes, but when people criticize us for our bad takes, we will just wave it away and say, we were only joking, you're taking it too seriously.
What?
That whole attitude is my problem with that style of criticism.
Why does this look like
Well,
you're
it's
trying to advertise Tootsie Pops?
What the fuck is this?
it's
Is that a
that's the
dog?
yes. I believe that he's called Arrow. And I cannot
Oh my
recall
god,
for
go
the
to the villain. He's there on the left of your Google search.
I can't recall for the life of me what the plot of this movie is.
Hold on.
Um,
Hold on.
I love it.
What's that's a fucking cursed image right there.
yeah. I cannot recall for the life of me what the plot of this movie is. I just remember there was definitely a point, I think, in the third act where I think we just completely fucking lost it, and we were like, it's just such an absurd movie. Like the people that made it were definitely on drugs.
What's Dr.
Would be
Robotnik doing here?
no, it would be genuinely hilarious for me and Evan and the Buds to watch that movie. We'll do a South podcast versus on
Oh my
it.
god. I just saw him. He is Dr. Robotnik. Holy shit.
Yeah, I was going to say Slur and I, who are like the shit posting masters, like we wrote this movie. It's like, that's just Robotnik right there.
So many of these characters look like someone that you would draw for Champed Up.
There's fan art.
Why
I
does
think
the
it's like
fan art look like a 10 times the budget version of the actual thing?
it might
think
be
it might be
the cover art.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cover for the DVD or whatever.
What the fuck is that? Okay, you've
I don't
seen the
know.
movie. Put this in context, please, because
I-
that looks like a shit monster.
Like I said, I cannot for the life of me recall what the plot of this movie is in the slightest.
Oh, it's got an even.
Missed the point. Tish.
It's got a fantastic menu. Look at that shit. Play chapters and bonus.
What is the bonus for this movie? I want to know.
It's just the
There's-
acid.
There is a song that my family would only refer to as the Decomposing Whale song, and that's all that I can give away about the soundtrack. It's fucking incredible. It is just like Evan, if you thought that the Croods 2 was like a drug trip, you have not seen the point.
I love just the name of it because I keep thinking you're like actually trying to make like a point. Like you
Yeah,
missed it.
if you don't like this movie, you missed the point.
At least the Croods 2 is like fun acid trip. This looks weird, man. This looks like the bad acid trip.
This is
Like
the
a
acid
fever
trip.
dream.
Exactly.
If you're
Um,
saying this after
Oh my
you dropped
God.
acid, you might want to get in touch with the person who sold you acid. Jesus fucking Christ.
I love just them looking down this hole and just the point. And it's just like, what? What are you trying to sell me something?
They're trying to find the point in this whole.
Honestly, just send me that. I'll tweet it without context. That is like, it's a shitpost pre-packaged.
That is that. So, but I was gonna say, the Nostalgia Critic, yeah, his method of reviewing is very, very dated, and I think that the only person from his website that I remember I used to watch, and I still watch occasionally, is Todd in the Shadows. I think that Todd in the Shadows actually does a good job with breaking down the music that he reviews.
I like
Yeah.
some of his videos
Link-
on occasion. I don't really follow him very closely though.
Linkara got me into comics, I'm not gonna lie. Like, just watching his videos, I was like, yeah, this guy seems pretty entertaining.
I watched a fair amount of his content. Yeah.
then he's kind of gone a bit crazy.
Mhm.
So like like most people who were either current or former, that the channel awesome slash that guy with the glasses, uh,
Mhm.
like just like Lindsay Ellis. Lindsay Ellis went fucking crazy.
When
Oh,
she's
yeah.
breaking down like Disney stuff and she's actually talking about how it adapts the original material and like as long as she stays on point, she can actually be really good. It's just
Ninja would
with
disagree
some
with you on
things,
that.
man, she goes into the fucking weeds.
Yeah, Ninja said that she's never had a great video.
I have yet to see one, but I still
They're funny.
maintain that the most hilarious thing
I recommend.
the most hilarious thing was the first time he sits me down and he's like, you've got to check out this video. And we start playing it and the voice comes on and I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, this is Lindsay Ellis. And you see the image pop up and he's like, this is a girl. I was like, bullshit.
That
The
was
voice just did
that was
not
Lily
match.
Orchard. That was
Yeah, Lily Orchard. Lindsay Ellis, I've seen a couple videos of. I cannot find a single take of hers that I agree with either. Everybody keeps recommending me videos. They're like, oh, she's got good takes. I'm like, no,
I think
no, she does not.
well, her Game of Thrones one is like that's the obvious one though. Like when somebody has like, yeah, so Game of Thrones sucks with season 8. It's like, well, yeah,
I
this
would
guy is
point
blue.
more to the Hunchback one and the Hobbit one because she goes into detail that most people wouldn't.
Well, yeah, she goes
Like the
in detail
effect that the film industry actually had on New Zealand and what it's like to live there. And it's like she goes into this extra layer that's actually really interesting to hear about. Which is
I don't know. I don't like getting tangled up too much in like the meta arguments of stuff. At least the finished product needs to stand on its own.
Oh, I
Mhm.
wouldn't say it's an argument as to the quality of the movies. I just think it's a decent take to have on
Yeah.
it as a cultural phenomenon, not necessarily whether
Sure.
it's a good or bad movie.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
was.
Yeah.
They were ultimately like I know what she's talking about, the New Zealand law and the impact the Hobbit had on New Zealand, and like how it created this very very toxic law for filmmakers. Like that basically says like the country of New Zealand like pays like almost fully for a film that's in it, as opposed to the
Hmm.
other way around. Like, so
Well,
yeah, you guys ready to fucking hear what Doug Walker has to say about the Mummy?
sure.
Oh, dear Jesus.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm ready. The last 2
God,
hours.
that was loud.
So I'm good to go.
That's very loud.
Please turn that down a little bit.
I mean, I'm turning it down my end too.
So if you're in chat, please let us know if it's too loud for you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay. Joke Cemetery? That's all of the Nostalgia Critics jokes, I assume, right?
Yeah, and also this is a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror gag. It's like a
Mm.
classic Simpsons fan. I'm like, oh, so are you doing like if you're gonna steal from the best when they were in their prime? Also, like that, yeah, he made fun of fucking Mako, the guy who
I remember.
Yeah, he fucking made fun of his voice when he played Splinter in the CGI.
Well, okay, so the lore of that was he didn't realize that Mako had died of what was it, throat cancer or lung cancer?
I think it was throat cancer.
It was yeah, and it was a joke that he didn't like. It was insensitive without him realizing it. I think that it kind of made it unintentionally funny in that sense, but yeah, he didn't live that down.
Unintentional edge, the best kind.
Oh God.
Is this that unself-aware cringe I keep hearing about?
Yeah.
So that was
Oof.
that like this is like a reference to like how much he didn't like The Shining miniseries.
Oh my god, does he unironically have a Batman v Superman poster behind him?
Yes, and a Pixels poster.
Ew.
I mean, I think you can remove the unironically from basically any statement about this guy.
Oh,
I
and a
don't
Fury
think he does
Road
anything ironically.
poster.
Is that Fury Road?
That doesn't look like Fury Road.
No, it doesn't look like it at all.
Really? Because that's
It's a little bit with the cars in the distance, but the guy standing there.
Yeah, he's standing in the middle of the road.
Of his video about Fury Road.
Okay.
Wow.
Which is even worse.
We have a trifecta. We've got a Pixels poster, we've got a Batman v Superman poster, and we've got a Nostalgia Critic review of Fury Road poster.
Oh god.
That or it's one of his. Oh, it could be even worse though. It could be one of his movie posters, like So to Boldly Flee or.
Wait, has he still been making those? I thought those died. After the first
he made 3
few.
of them. So Kick-Assia, To Boldly Flee, and I can't remember the last one to save my life. It was the
To Boldly Flee. Is that French?
I think that was the sci-fi one. Yeah, let's.
This is why I don't like this type of skit making. Is you just waste all this time in your opening. It's just like, dude, just get into
we're
it.
45 seconds in.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be here for 3 minutes just with his intro. I'm like, I get it, Mummy. Mummy, your video on it. It's okay. You can do this in 10 seconds. Chris Stuckman unironically does better intros.
Can we please just like chalk it up to, okay, he's unfunny, his skits suck, they break the pacing. Like that's the reason why I gave up on Nostalgia Critic. It wasn't that I realized, oh, he's not funny. It's just like, oh shit. Well, okay, actually it was because of the fact that his skits just broke up the pacing of his reviews. Like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not why I'm watching you. I thought you were funnier when you were like just straight up reviewing movies and talking about the movies and not just trying to do these skits that are really unfunny to satirize the movies. So it's just like, you know what? We'll just, chalk up everything about his skits in this video to that bit of criticism. Yeah. Let's just let them play. Just let them play. I want to get this over with.
Didn't it all start with the YouTube copyright thing, so he couldn't use footage anymore? So he actually just had to parody it himself, and then
no.
That's actual opinion of the last 5 seconds.
That's not the actual thing. Like he would do that even with movies that he had like the footage that he could use for like under fair use, which is just it was annoying. So
well, it's because for the longest time. He was actually during like the whole what was it? There's a gigantic like defend free fair use thing where like content creators that made reviews or chatted about movies were like having to really buckle down because YouTube was like practically blocking all of their shit for like a good like 5 months. So that's why they started doing a lot more skits. Not to mention the move from Blip. And then coming back. Jeez. Remember Blip?
Yep.
Barely.
You shall rest from life, like the setting sun in the west, but you shall dawn anew in the east, as the first rays of Amon-Ra dispel the shadows.
Not today, mummy guy! I, being totally from this time period, am here to stop you.
Cut! What the hell are you guys doing?
Well, you told us to dress up as the original Mummy movie.
Yeah, 1932, Boris Karloff.
Oh, no. Everybody knows that the original Mummy is the Brendan Fraser version.
Why are you dressed up as Grunkle Stan and talking like Frankenberry?
Oh my god, I am so sick of people saying this. The Brendan Fraser one is not the original.
Sure it is. That's why when the crappy remake came out, everyone said it's not as good as the original.
Yeah, isn't that true?
No! Yes. It is a sin against nature.
And this is that original film.
No, this was the first crappy remake.
You didn't like it?
I didn't say that.
You said it was crappy.
Well, it was meant to be crappy. At least I pray to God it was.
Let's just all come together and agree that the Tom Cruise one sucks.
Yes. I want to show people what a great Mummy movie was supposed to be.
You thought the Tom Cruise one was great?
There's more than 2 movies!
Well, people remember the Fraser one. You should talk about that.
Fine. I'll leave it to the audience. How many of you are... God damn it, you uncultured swines!
Told ya.
Oh, piss off telling me an Aragon joke.
It's very snobby of him to talk down to people that don't know about, like, or simply haven't seen the old Mummy movie.
Yeah, I've never seen the Boris Karloff one. I haven't
Me
seen
either.
If
a
you
lot
want
of
to talk about it, just talk about it, man.
I'm aware of the old Boris Karloff one. Boris Karloff one. I'm aware of that one. I just haven't seen it.
I'm aware of all the fucking black and white Universal monster movies. Haven't seen a single one though.
Same.
Sad to say that in recent years, when many people refer to the original Mummy
Pause for a second. Just a complete, absolute tangent to do with chat, but Jake asked me to put Doug in Jiu-Jitsu armor just because, and I have. So
God damn
that's
it.
a thing. Also, we have someone in chat whose name is actually Shadow the Hedgehog 69, and I just love it because
God
Shadow
damn it.
the
So that's
big
gonna
part of
need
your
some
art.
explanation. God damn it. So you guys are so Evan, Southpaw. Have you guys ever heard of a film called Jiu-Jitsu?
No. I've heard of the martial art, but no.
So
it's about the martial art, kind of.
So
vaguely.
A good summary, like in terms of like think of this but this, is think Predator combined with Mortal Kombat. And it has Nicolas Cage in it.
As Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. It's basically about like an alien that wanted to kill a bunch of people, so it taught us jujitsu, and so it has people to fight. Then we'll come back every 7 years, and if it doesn't kill all of them or is not killed by it, it'll kill everybody else. And it's created that's what it looks like, other than of course the Doug Walker thing. Do you have the original on you, Slur, to show them what the monster looks like? It is a very interesting looking monster, and has
all of the weird fucking assets I've accumulated over doing this. I don't think I even have the original.
Don't
anymore.
have the original. So it's created one of the best quotes, which was in where Nicolas Cage talks about like a warrior poet in a sci-fi sense, the spaceman,
if you will.
If you will. And the guy just looks at him with just this like, what the fuck are you talking about look, and it's amazing.
Also, he's wearing a paper hat at the time. I think that's important to note. Also, he's standing on a piano, I think.
Yeah, he's like, he said to get off my piano.
It's the most Nicolas Cage movie I've ever seen.
We watched it while we watched 3 things on New Year's Eve. We watched that, Fat Man, the Nicolas Cage Santa movie, and we showed a Lord of the Rings fan the Cinematic Venom Lord of the Rings review. It was quite a night. It's back to Doug Walker.
You're gonna have to show that on stream just so that Jake can get off. But trying to explain jiu-jitsu to anyone who hasn't seen it is always a fucking trip.
Hold on, I gotta throw up the cover. Jake, have you come yet? We have somebody who frequents the show, Jake the Surgeon, of course. Here you go, Jake. Here's your fucking image. God damn it! I'm just staring at it, and it's like,
you know, the worst part about this series of memes that we make is all of these faces that Slur puts into the armor actually look better than the original face that shows up in the movie.
Well, that's why it became a fucking thing. It's because the face they use in the movie looks so fucking bad, and they insist on making him growl in his like little fishbowl helmet thing so often that it draws attention to how bad it is. That just putting anybody's face in there just makes it better.
Also,
who was put in there last time? Was it like Chris Stuckman or one of those like really vanilla reviewers?
Hold on, let me check Y.A.R.P chat while you guys chat.
Let's get back to the Mummy. This is like a
Yeah, no,
30-minute
this was an absolute
video.
tangent. We don't need to go into this. This is something I did
Yeah.
to like
South
couple of
loses his
requests from chat.
patience.
This is a long nostalgia critic video, and those are tough to get through already.
Yeah, of course. Throw the cover back down. All right.
Movie. This is the one they're talking about. The 1999 hit quickly established it had as much to do with the original Mummy as, say, The Last Airbender had to do with the original Avatar.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
That's
You can remake a story without it being similar to the original.
That's such a fucking bullshit. Okay, so just because it's called The Mummy doesn't mean that it has to be exactly like the original Mummy movie. That's ridiculous.
Especially considering the amount of time that passed between the two. I mean, the amount of technology that was now at their disposal compared to the original.
It's a total adaptation argument too.
Entire interpretations that would make Bram Stoker fucking choke on a dick is insane.
Honestly, like this is a great example of why adaptation arguments don't work really well. I'm sure that the original Mummy movie is great, but this one's pretty good too in its own right.
I was about to say The Thing is a perfect example of this.
Yeah,
like the first Thing from the 50s was like it was originally like a Howard Hawks production. It's very monster movie-esque. It's just a guy in a suit, but John Carpenter remade it and he went more for the Lovecraftian horror type thing and like the paranoia. It was very much based on who goes there. So rather than the film, which took like the original film from the 50s. So it's like a remake can go in a very different direction. You don't have to be similar. You don't have to like pay respect to the original. You can just make what you want.
Well, and that's a great example too. That's one of the ones I usually point to when someone's like, name a remake that was better than the original. You know, that absolutely to me is...
The Godfather is one that gets brought up a lot because the books, by all accounts, were absolute trash, but the movies are some like the most highly regarded things ever put to fucking screen.
I would love to show Bram Stoker Dracula Untold just to see if I'd give him a heart attack.
I mean, he was Irish, so I think he would just lose his shit as much as I do.
Goddamn gobshites!
It's like blindfolded armies. Are you fucking mad?
Grandma's got arthritis.
Except a little less penis hair. Nevertheless, it found its audience not as a horror film, but rather a corny, lighthearted adventure. It spawned sequels, spin-offs, even a children's cartoon. And let me tell you, it is no Jackie Chan adventures! So after...
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, Jackie Chan Adventures was good, but I mean, what does that have to do with this, I guess?
I mean, I'm waiting for the punchline.
Years of popularity.
Jackie
I think that was it.
Isn't even based on like an original movie. It's just based on Jackie Chan as an idea.
Yeah.
Also, the uncle is classic. I love the uncle in that show.
Yes, even future remakes taking more from this than the original source material. It does make sense to see if this still holds up, or if, honestly, it was ever really meant to hold up. Let's take a look at 1999's...
The original!
Shut up and watch something black and white! Never!
Okay, so he makes a joke out of that there, but Doug Walker does remind me of one of those sort of snobby film critics that's like, oh, the black and white stuff is better just because it's more high art.
What? The guy who actually's Frankenstein's monster during his Van Helsing review, he says he thinks black and white is the better version? No.
Yeah, and
it still is allowed to disappoint me.
He's arguing against doesn't really exist that much. It's like the whole idea is like, oh, it's old, it's black and white, it has subtitles, blah blah blah. Therefore, I don't like it because of that. Those kinds of people are never really gonna give a shit regardless. And even if they did actually give that version of it a chance, they probably wouldn't like it. Because when you go into like this old 1930s style of filmmaking, there's a lot of things that don't translate. The only people who really like those kinds of movies are people who just like filmmaking in general. Normal audiences are just going to be put off, alienated, and weirded out by the fact that everything looks so janky because it was an earlier time. So saying that, oh, if you would just give this one a chance, maybe then you would realize that, I don't know, your taste is shit. It's like, that's not how it works. You have to work with what's on screen. and build your
Well,
argument.
and most people, you know, he's getting mad because everyone calls the Brendan Fraser one the original, but most people from this time period, that's the one they grew up on. They
Yep.
might not even know the other one exists.
I feel like if you want to talk about the original, you should just make a video about the original
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of make a video about the 1999 movie to shit on it for not being like the original.
No, yeah, this movie that's nothing like the movie I actually want to talk about. It's shit because it's nothing like the movie I actually want to talk about.
Like this
Here's
would
the
be
deal.
like me bitching that the upcoming Batman movie with Robert Pattinson isn't like the 2004 Batman cartoon, which has the same name. Like, how about I just make a video about the 2004 cartoon? Because I could do that.
You could do
Or
that.
Joker 2019 is shit because it's nothing like The Dark Knight.
No, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it's nothing like Taxi Driver.
Oh my god. That argument was so fucking
But it did
tedious.
have the guy from Taxi Driver in it.
And King of Comedy.
Oh no.
Both of which I've actually seen, by the way. King Comedy, really good movie. The Joker would not be my first comparison.
It would actually be a pretty funny shitpost kind of video to do where you complain about Joker not being like Taxi Driver enough.
Oh,
Like, everyone's
Slur.
telling me that this movie is an adaptation of Taxi Driver. It's a really shitty adaptation of Taxi Driver. You just like go over all the
Slur.
differences and
Slur.
complain that it's not close enough.
But use nothing but clips from King of Comedy.
Yeah.
Slur, you have it in you. Slur, just
I
it could
have it
be-
in me, but god damn, it would take so long to actually put together properly.
The shitpost channel, like the actual videos in shitpost format.
just
would be
do
great.
it. You know you could.
I could, but I'd have to put the time. Because if I start doing it, I'm going to want to do it properly, which means I'm going to spend so much time on it, and I don't want to.
You'd become a better editor
Not for a
than
shit
me.
post.
You'd be a better editor than me in a day.
The Mummy.
I think it'll just live
starts
forever
off-
here in this episode of Y.A.R.P as an idea.
No, you're gonna get bullied by like everybody that's in this chat to make that
Hey,
video.
if we suddenly accumulate an audience purely based on the fact they want me to make a specific shit post, you know what? Maybe I'll capitulate. Fuck it.
Finn. Oh, I'm sorry. I apparently put on an episode of the cartoon. Oh, doubly sorry. These are apparently really convincing effects. Not to knock what is admitted.
These effects actually do hold up pretty well.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
favorite, of
Yeah,
course,
I
being
mean-
the scarab that goes into his mouth and he eats it. It's a really good one.
Or anything where like the scarab is underneath his skin. That actually holds up uncomfortably well.
Yeah.
I even
I
liked
thought
how
like
they brought
that-
up on EFAP not long ago that the scarab's coming out of the ground. Like they actually have to push the soil out of the way. Like it makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah, as opposed to the fucking crate dragon where it's just like nothing.
I felt like the scarab under the guy's skin didn't hold up as well. It was kind of cartoony, but the rest of the special effects, for the most part, held up.
Yeah.
Sandface holds up really well, but
Mhm.
that's because it's supposed to be a magic spell, so it leans into the fact that it probably doesn't look that well. Like if
Well, it's
will
better than the water face in the second one for
oh yeah,
sure.
that one was just bad.
Or Scorpion King in the second one.
Oh yeah.
That's like
We
the
don't
Pretty
talk
much
about
anything.
Scorpion King.
Yeah, no.
That's
Let's
just
not.
the easiest dig in like movie history. It's like, oh, what's that bad CGI? Oh, there's the Scorpion Kid. It's like it makes sense. It is very bad. It's just funny how like everybody touches on it.
We
Now,
were talking
one
about how it would have
fact,
been so much better for him to just actually show up like as the Rock in human form
Yeah,
and
just-
fight the two of them.
Yeah,
Totally.
just
Oh,
fight,
easily.
fight Emotep and Rick O'Connell using wrestling moves. It would have been so
Like
fucking
he's
awesome.
already physically imposing. You don't need to give him like a scorpion body. But
Mhm.
in the Mummy, one of the effects we kind of gave a lot of shit to was the when he's absorbed enough other people that his body is mostly formed except his mouth, which still goes all big, extra wide and dismy. We gave that shit because it looked goofy, not because the effect didn't hold up.
I was
And I'm kind of just realizing that looking back.
hold on. The one that's The one that's the most goofy, however, is when he's fully regenerated, is about to absorb Rick, and it's just you see his mouth elongate as when he's like full personisms.
He looks like one of those like extra soy boy hyper memes.
Yeah. Well, the
Redditor meme.
Really pretty CG, but Val Kilmer refines as Moses and Ramesses fit a little too well into this realistic backdrop.
Thieves, crown jewel of Pharaoh's Seti the.
What? I'm still
He's saying that like these this version from a well animated movie fits well into this well CGI scene, meaning the CGI looks cartoony. I think.
I guess. I think that's the joke he's trying to make, but
as if the animation in The Prince of Egypt does not hold up.
I mean, yeah, it does. That's why the joke almost falls flat on its face. If you picked like a really badly animated movie, at least the joke would make sense, even if he was wrong.
I mean, all you're doing is just complimenting how great Prince of Egypt's animation is.
Yeah.
Which, fair, it's a really fucking well animated movie.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best, it's one of the best animated adaptations of the Bible you could get.
It's one of the best movies based on the Bible.
Yeah, period. Like, few have come close.
I mean, what was that movie all about, like, Jesus being born? Like, it
The
came
Passion
out...
of the Christ?
No.
the young Messiah?
Yeah, they nail him to a plank of wood as soon as he is out of the fucking womb.
No. No, it was I don't even know the name of it. That's the thing. It was a feature film. I saw it on Christmas. It was a film all about Mary and Joseph just dealing with shit.
The Nativity Story.
Oh yeah, I was about to say Poe Dameron is Joseph and Mance Rayder's in it, right?
Wow, I don't remember fucking Oscar Isaac being in a Jesus movie.
Yeah, I think is that right? Is that the one?
I don't know. I'm quickly looking it up. Oscar
Are you
Isaac,
thinking of X-Men Apocalypse? Because he was also a prophet.
Oh.
He was like also in ancient Egypt for some fucking reason, except he was
blood. I hate that movie. Poor, that's one of the perfect examples of a poor miscast.
Yeah, River just came into the room and said, "Yeah, it was the Nativity Story." Man, Oscar Isaac was Joseph. What the hell? I didn't know that. Huh?
I thought that movie was okay. It's like, yeah, no.
I don't remember.
Nothing too memorable.
Wow.
The first, home of Imhotep, Pharaoh's high priest, keeper of the dead.
Who enjoys sitting really close to the screen playing Assassin's Creed Origins. Oh, again, I mean, looking over realistic Egypt. I'll give the film credit that as fake as everything looks, it is still a gorgeous and artistically pleasing body of work. And the CGI ain't bad
doesn't
either.
look that fake.
It doesn't.
I really hate
it's
that.
aged, but it's not that bad.
I really hate the makes all these jokes and then just goes, "Oh, I actually think these graphics are okay," and it's just like,
lol, it's shit. No, but actually though.
Yeah,
like,
this is the thing about jokes too that I'm just frustrated to no end in video essays. Is people like, guys, he's making jokes. I'm like, I find jokes funnier when they're built on accurate information. Personally, like if you're making movie jokes,
when they actually build up to your actual opinion. Like
yeah,
if you're joking that it's shit because you actually think it's shit and you've got your sources and you're making jokes that are actually on point as to what the movie is doing. Yeah, you're fucking golden, man. Go make your jokes.
It's why when you talk about comedies, I point to the Cornetto trilogy every time. Like Hot Fuzz is like a perfect fucking comedy.
Mm-hmm. Am I right, boys? Imhotep has an affair with the pharaoh's mistress, which seems redundant the more I think about it. But the golden festers.
How is that redundant? She belongs to the pharaoh.
Yeah.
Like, the man is literally regarded as a god. You don't touch his things, especially his women.
I'm so confused. What is your problem, Doug?
I think his whole thing is like, well, she's already a mistress, so doesn't count, lol. Maybe.
But if the idea is that the pharaoh is like, so if the pharaoh is married and he has a mistress. It's like, well, then you don't touch the pharaoh's mistress. Just because she's a mistress to the pharaoh doesn't mean that she gets to be a mistress to anyone else.
Right.
Was it Doug that had the take that Nefertiri and Anck-su-namun were brother or were sisters, or who was it that had that?
Yes, after we watched Mummy Returns, we watched Doug's review of Mummy Returns, and he said that when Evie reincarnated was a reincarnation of an Egyptian princess, I know, it's me as fuck, that he confused them for siblings. It was really, really dumb.
And it was really awkward considering is how the whole thing is Anck-su-namun and the pharaoh fuck, and that's a whole nother implication if they're related. You know, it's
it's ancient times, so it probably
even in ancient times, like of all the ancient cultures, Egyptians were extremely litigious. That's why they succeed as a society. It's a whole conversation.
Yeah,
they did not like incest.
Yeah,
they were one of the first people on Earth to be like, you know what? Maybe your cousins, don't touch them. We've built a whole city. We're like one of the first people to ever do that. Find someone else, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, they're staring at the Greeks where it's just like a girl, like their baby girl had just been born, and the father's just thinking like, in 5 years I'm gonna do something to you, and it's like, okay. Like, it's the classic joke of like Greeks invented orgies, Romans added women to them.
Yeah, for the Greeks it was more like he has a baby girl and he's like, well, I have successfully reproduced. Time to go like off to war with all my boy soldier friends, even though we don't actually have any enemies yet, just so we can go off into the mountains and fuck each other.
Well, it's like, if I remember correctly, pedophilia was outlawed in ancient Rome, but not in ancient Greece, I think.
The surgeon just brought up that King Tut was messed up from incest, and that's true. King Tut died at the age of 9, I think.
Yeah.
Or he was made pharaoh at 9. He died, I think, 13, 14. And his biology was fucked up from incest because that was after several different civil wars in Egypt when the royal family started to do the English-British family thing of keeping the quote bloodline pure, and that's why he was so significantly different because of that. He was the exception. It's why he was so different from all the other pharaohs they ever found.
Was it ever revealed that the body of King Tut that we have been prancing around museums, wasn't it revealed that that's actually been a fake this whole time? Like, it wasn't really his body?
I think the death mask was a fake.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it.
Able to block cock for long.
Yattamitaten.
I had an itch. What? Egyptians never have an itch? Or you can kill him, that works. But the mistress has a plan for the guards who came to arrest her. Haha, that showed him. Imhotep plans to resurrect her, though,
Okay. First of all, the thing about the itch, I think it's a valid little nitpick.
Yeah.
It's she could have scratched it herself.
She could have explained it, but she panicked in the moment because she'd been caught out on a lie. That doesn't necessarily mean it's inconsistent with the character. She's never actually had to lie about anything before because she's a fucking concubine to the pharaoh.
Plus, Imhotep was clearly already behind him, so she wouldn't have been able to hold up that lie for even a second.
No, it's just funny seeing the rubbed off tattoo and assume that someone touched her rather than maybe she had an itch. But of course, she is also in Imhotep's quarters, I believe.
Yeah,
wears that full body makeup every single day and has the self-control not to scratch her itches until she's taken it off at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was revealed that they were in Imhotep's room because when the pharaoh comes in, the pharaoh goes like, "What are you doing in here?"
Yep. So
I can't not play this. This is.
I'm gonna have
to then you're racist.
Well, not only that, I had to pause just to make sure, because that was Disney for a second. So it's just like, oh, okay. I don't want to immediately have the mouse kick my door down and shoot my
Get the
non-existent
stream
dog.
nuked from orbit from the Disney satellite.
Yeah.
Hey, I just realized he's wearing Rags' favorite clothing combination.
Yeah.
It's a very book look.
Yeah, it is.
Look. You see, the tie is what really fucking makes it awful for me. Because if you have your tie done loosely and you've got a shirt on, I can believe that maybe you were in work before you got here. You know, you got out of work, you fucking untuck your shirt, you undo the top buttons, like you loosen up a bit. If you put a tie on over a fucking t-shirt, though,
I mean, that's kind of
dressing up, but
that's
not
been
enough.
Doug's look this entire time.
That's kind of the point of the look, I think, is to. I mean, it kind of looks silly in general. I think it's a joke in and of itself.
It's like very low effort
fairness.
clown makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was all a cartoon! Don't believe me? Look at the effects when trying to bring his love back to life.
Okay, so.
Okay, yeah, this effect
Yeah,
is
they're like.
bad.
Yeah, it's dated. I mean, they're having to CGI what looks to be like water, and I mean, that shit can be pretty difficult to capture.
Yeah, it's like an of course it's gonna look bad kind of deal.
I think when we watched it, I excused it a little bit by saying it's like they're performing this like abhorrent necromantic spell that's calling the spirit from the underworld. It's going to look unnatural no matter what. But just looking at the effect on its own, it doesn't hold up great.
Oh my god, we're in the
Scorpion King though.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a low bar, but yeah.
I was going to say you literally could have like had Dwayne The Rock Johnson holding up like a picture and saying like, "Oh, I'm the Scorpion King," and it would have looked way better.
Mm-hmm.
He could have literally had a scorpion sellotaped to his forehead and it would have held up better.
Yeah. Well, I'm the Scorpion King.
Remake of The Haunting. Destroy everything except your buy Catherine Zeta-Jones's!
I don't get that joke.
That was.
I'm assuming it's a haunting joke.
Yeah, he reviewed the remake of The Haunting. It's got Catherine Zeta-Jones, and like he was basically saying like destroy everything except her because she's hot.
Okay, was that the joke? Because I don't trust Doug Walker's, preference in women.
Hold on, Catherine Zeta-Jones is hot. Have you seen Zorro?
No. I just mean in general. Like,
okay.
We've seen his wedding photos.
Broken clock and all that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I dreamed I was attached to a giant bomb with Tom Cruise. Imhotep has to kill her to resurrect her, but he's stopped and mummified, covered in CG bugs, while also given apparently the worst of all curses.
The Magi would never allow him to be released, for he would.
You kind of have to give him this. This curse is tismy as fuck.
We'll talk about it once.
We had to break it down step by step when we were watching because the whole thing, it turns whoever gets cursed into like a lich, basically. It turns them into a WMD person, but only if somebody else comes along and breaks them out.
Yeah.
Up until that point, they're suffering
just
this horrific, worse than death fate that has no possible end. But if somebody ever does come along thousands of years from now and breaks the seal, they have godlike power.
Yeah, it's real. Like,
it's a very weird punishment.
Like, let's let the movie say it, 'cause it's actually really dumb.
Rise a walking disease, power over the sands, and the glory of invincibility.
So I forgot the part where it's like he'd also released the 10 plagues of Egypt. So yeah, that's a shit curse, and we're just gonna get to it before Doug talks about it.
Well, the idea is it's reserved for the worst of the worst, but there's a drawback to the curse itself.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't know if they necessarily have control over what the curse can do. Like, that's just the thing, is I don't fully understand how this ancient Egyptian magic system works. I just kind of figure, okay, this magic system exists whether or not it's being practiced. And so this curse, I guess, was discovered, and they don't necessarily have control over these sorts of drawbacks. So they reserve it for someone that, basically sleeps with the Pharaoh's mistress and murders the Pharaoh. It's like, yeah, that seems like the kind of person that they
It's
reserve.
funny you should bring that up, because the joke we made when we were watching it is that the only people who actually know the full extent of what the curse does are the people who are also being mummified alongside this guy.
Yeah, so we made the
Like,
joke.
they're the priests. They're the ones whose
guys,
job it is to study these ancient texts, to know why this curse is something we don't actually use, even though it's something like all of these sacred rituals, they were passed down to us from the gods, blah, 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 blah. But they never used it because the priests were always very high in status because it was ancient Egypt. This is like the very exceptional circumstance where all of the priests were co-conspirators with this guy who wanted to fuck the Pharaoh's woman. So they're all being mummified at the same time, getting their tongues cut out, so they literally can't warn them. It's like, hey, hang on, no, don't do this one. I know it sounds like I'm just trying to save my own ass, but if you do this, you will literally turn him into a lich. Please don't. Oh no, I'm being covered in scarbs. Fuck.
Well, they only gave it to Imhotep, but if imagine if they gave it to all the priests. That's like even worse. Just like, why did we?
Is it worse? How do you get worse than complete apocalypse? Complete apocalypse times 10? I don't know how much of a difference that makes.
Apocalypse Justice League, fucking like it's constant. Like they're like
oh
a
yeah,
whole
it's
team.
Apocalypse, but spelled with a K.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's a whole team of them.
Kind of a dumb curse when you think about it. Ah yes, you will suffer for years and years, and if by chance somebody saves you, you'll become the most powerful and invincible entity known to man. Were there no other curses that left that part out? Was that curse on sale?
And for 3,000 years.
I guess the best steel man you could give the movie is that it's kind of a balance thing. Like, in order to inflict him with that much suffering, most spells or magic systems have some sort of a drawback. So
yeah, like I said,
giving him the powers would be, he's going to be in horrendous suffering that's literally worse than him going to hell. But if he ever gets resurrected, bad things.
Yes.
I mean, maybe it didn't have to be end of the world bad things, but still.
The Magi, who were so fucking bad at protecting Imhotep's tomb, it was.
The Magi did all right for a few thousand years. Don't be too harsh. Jesus.
The descendants of Pharaoh's sacred bodyguards kept watch.
Ah, jeez, these guys have the laziness of the cruciform sword written all over them. If you did your job well, we wouldn't have a movie. We come across a desert.
They were doing fine until the French Empire arrived in Egypt, which none of the ancient Egyptians were predicting.
Well, and if anyone got, because the thing is, like, the Greeks, they'd also heard of Hymenoptera, so they'd be.
Yeah, but the Greeks also respected local Egyptian tradition, which is how they were able to effectively rule Egypt. It's like when you try to bring up those arguments from history, you're going to run straight into history.
Yeah, that's ultimately the problem.
Desert battle and meet our main character Rick, played by Fraser, and his comic relief, Benny. Wait for me! Don't worry, he'll be back soon to confuse charming side antagonists with "Shut up! Shut up!" soon enough.
Benny was actually, oh wow, that's a picture of a stunt double if I've ever seen one. Benny was pretty entertaining.
And pretty consistent.
Yeah.
He's an absolute fucking coward. He's a scumbag. He will take any underhanded deal if he thinks it will further his own self-interest.
Well,
yeah, I
stay alive.
I liked Benny quite a bit in this movie. I think he was a much funnier comic relief than Jonathan. I didn't care for Jonathan at all.
I liked a couple moments from Jonathan. His introduction was a bit annoying. The one moment I really did like from Jonathan was like when he's like trying to play golf and he hits the the rock and it sends the sarcophagus just plummeting down. If they were a foot closer to that thing, it would have killed them.
I think Benny served an interesting point of being kind of a more grounded villain or antagonist for them.
I had like a whole conversation with these two. When Benny died, I legit just went like, you know what, at the end of the day, I don't blame Benny for what he did. He just was trying to stay alive.
And he was doing what most rational, quote unquote, people in that world would do, which is go to this mythical lost city, try to find a bunch of treasure, and get rich from it. It's really not that cartoonish.
And then when he meets the mummy, he's just like, he's willing to do whatever it takes to save his own skin.
Yeah, and he only actually... Now, this is a tism we do bring up, and it's one of those things where I said, like, in the third act, it gets a bit weird, because there's a few hard criticisms there. He goes through, like, all of these different religions, just a comedic moment, but it sets up how much of a, an insincere scumbag he is. He goes through Buddhism, Christianity, and then he brings up Judaism, and then Imhotep recognizes the language of the slaves because Hebrew actually hasn't changed at all since ancient times. So yeah, it's like he would recognize an ancient language, say, hey, you can be useful. And then they kind of go from there. But after that, he's somehow also able to speak ancient Egyptian as well. It gets weird.
Yeah.
Thank God they set their rifles to around target instead of on target. That spooky face in the ground scares everyone away, including Fraser. Banish him to Monkey Bone. Meanwhile, Rachel Weisz plays a librarian.
Fuck you, Monkey Bone's a good movie.
What is that even?
Also, they skipped over an important part with the Magi where they see this one survivor who is, like, vaguely aware that the place is cursed, but nothing else, and he's walking on his own into the desert. So they're like, you know what? He's probably going to die in the desert. Fuck it. We don't actually need to go chase him. That's their rationale for not taking care of him there and then. And it isn't that bad, honestly.
Something that always was a little weird, though, was the fact that 3 years passed from that point, and I'm just like, what was Rick doing for those 3 years? Like, because he wasn't
drunk in Cairo.
Apparently, because he
and
wasn't
ending up in jail.
Well, yeah, well, the jail thing was a recent thing, because
but still, it's not relevant to the story. That's kind of
they
the
also
main thing.
kind of called back to it later on with the pilot guy, because there's a bunch of ex-colonial soldiers who are just kind of hanging around, not doing much with their lives because the war is over. So after they had that pitched battle against some local rebels there in the desert, he goes back to Cairo or some other part of civilization, and seeing as he's fucking done with the war, he's just hanging out. He doesn't really have a home to go back to. This place feels more home than any home he came from, which we know is America, so he just stays there in Cairo. It isn't explored in the movie at all, but if you just present the facts as we see them, it doesn't sound unreasonable.
All right.
Librarian named Evelyn, who's searching in the S section for suck-ass comedy.
I did not like this moment.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I was like, wouldn't those bookcases be like bolted to the ground / it would
also really fucking heavy, so that just one wafy woman on a ladder wouldn't knock one over.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It's funny because nope. I'll give them a point that they actually knocked all these bookcases over in one shot with no CG involved. It almost excuses the lame-ass exposition we have to sit through.
Why do I put up with you?
Well, you put up with me because I can read and write ancient Egyptian, and I can decipher.
Okay, pause for copyright.
I mean,
also,
as far as exposition goes, that's really not as horrible as a lot of things out today.
Also, sometimes you do that. Like, why do I keep you around? And that person genuinely is like, oh, I'm really funny. I'm your driver, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's a more natural form of exposition, and sometimes you have to have exposition. The thing as a writer is you have to find realistic while also still being interesting ways of putting it into your story.
Yeah, she just really fucked up at her job, and her boss is like, please give me some reason not to fucking fire you. So she lists off some pretty fucking unique skills that are worth keeping around for.
Yeah, most importantly,
it's a bit janky, sure, but it's not unreasonable or unrealistic.
I actually do like how she does have that bit of a backbone. It's like, I'm the only person for miles that can catalog this library. It shows how smart she is. Not to mention the fact she can translate ancient Egyptian and hieratic.
Hieroglyphics and hieratic.
I force plot points with no natural rhyme or rhythm. She thinks she hears a noise, so she grabs one of those necessary torches.
I mean, I like to see some citations for that.
Also, for the torches argument, I kind of had a bit of a thing about that, and I was just like, wait, no, this is Cairo, like, post-World War I. There's not as much electricity as, like, it would be in other places.
Especially in, like, really old buildings where oil lamps would be more of a liability than anything else.
Also, is the idea that he's trying to criticize this for being a fire hazard?
I don't know.
Yeah, an oil lamp is a much bigger fire hazard than a torch, which is typically just some rope soaked in pitch and set on fire.
I mean,
whereas an oil lamp actually contains a well of oil, which if smashed will fucking inflagrate.
That's how the boat catches on fire.
I mean, I also don't know how many people considered possible fire hazards when, designing buildings and museums like this.
They didn't. We've lost
back in the day.
Countless historical artifacts because of that specific fucking reason. And some of them just sank in the ocean.
More rhythm. She thinks she hears a noise, so she grabs one of those necessary torches kept around ancient artifacts. I guess electricity wasn't a common thing yet. Oh, wait!
Yeah, in the newer part of the building, that's the library, and obviously the more invested in part, yeah, they have some bulbs. But remember, this is the 1920s, so those are just straight up DC bulbs hooked up to like a generator or something. That's
also, this is just kind of not consequential to the story whatsoever.
Oh yeah, we're getting like historical references for the tiniest of nitpicks here.
I was going to say it's being a bit nitpicky.
Like this is, I would put this on par with the car in the background of Lord of the Rings.
Everybody points it out. I've looked at the scene where it supposedly is. I don't see a car. That's like I'm like going crazy every time. I was like, all right, this is supposedly the original footage. Then it's like in 4K.
I mean, it's very, very, very hard to miss.
Yeah, but did you know that Viggo Mortensen really broke his toe when he kicked that helmet?
Hey, I didn't know that. Thanks for telling me about the broken toe.
Everybody knows that because everybody points it the fuck out.
No, I feel like if we ever watched Lord of the Rings for Y.A.R.P, we're just gonna that scene's gonna happen. We all just like with the fact it's like we're in a fucking like triangle Mexican standoffs. Like, who says the fact first?
I can't watch Return of the King now and get to the point where Gimli says, "Let him rot. What do we care?" And I can't watch that now without like kind of just chuckling to myself. I really wish I could talk to Cinematic Venom and ask him, "What the fuck were you thinking when you made that joke? Or was that even a joke? Or was
have
it?
you
Was
seen
it?
his newest video where he actually goes back
I have.
and watches the review? It's like he's trying to EFAP himself, and it's almost heartwarming. It's like the way we phrase it when we watch it is like he's 25 points in the hole. He manages to claw himself up like 5 to 10 points, just in self-awareness, but he's not out of the hole yet.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would love a chance to talk to the guy.
I messaged him on Twitter saying like, come on to Y.A.R.P. I'd love to just chat with you for like a minute.
The best part of that joke was when he's like, I went back, I double checked.
Oh gosh,
yeah.
For me, it's the meat's back on the menu, boys, because that became a whole thing of like, wait, do restaurants exist in Middle Earth, and do orcs know about them? Do orcs
have to?
How do orcs know the concept of a menu?
The prancing pony, the green dragon.
The green dragon, yeah.
Restaurants are a thing, and they have to be.
Or at the very least, if it's not just a traditional restaurant, like you can get food at a tavern. So a menu does
Inns are
exist.
definitely a thing. We know
Yeah.
that. And inns, I suppose, would have a bit of a menu, especially
Yeah.
if they're fancy.
It just wouldn't be like a booklet or something. They'd just be like, "What's on the menu?" It's like, we got fish, we got some chicken.
Yeah,
That's
you've
it.
got stew, you've got ale. That's it.
My favorite kind of tavern.
She's led to her piss poor fake out.
Have you no respect for the dead?
Dude, that's actually a really good fake out.
Yeah. Yeah, introduction to Jonathan. So Southpaw, would you give him if you had to rate him by comedic sidekick out of 10, what would you give him?
I'd probably give him a 3 or a 4.
Wow.
I think I'd go around 5 or 6. He's about average to nearly above average in terms of like being a comedic sidekick.
There's like a couple. He has a couple of moments, but I overall just didn't really care for the comedic value that he offered, or comedic relief that he offered to the story. So,
yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, messing with priceless corpses in Egypt. Best case scenario, fired. Worst case scenario, death. This is
what?
He doesn't work there.
Yeah, this is and also he gets out before
anyone can see.
Yeah, so Evie isn't fired.
Well, and one little nice detail I noticed when Doug was doing his joke is she starts her line about like "have you no shame" before Jonathan actually shows up on the camera. So the character is aware of knowledge before the viewer is, which she would be from her position.
Yeah.
This is Jonathan, Weiss's brother, who just happened to find the Hellraiser box, which contains a.
He didn't just find it. He stole it off Rick in the middle of a bar. He picked his pocket.
And he only did so after hearing like it related to this other very important thing that Rick had no idea about.
A map to
Egyptian. How important it was.
Egyptian tombs and treasure. This looks like a job for pervy George of the Jungle.
Who are you?
Hey, joke.
And who's the broad?
You were actually at Hamanaptra.
Yeah, I was there.
You swear.
Every damn day.
No, I didn't mean that.
I know what you meant. I was there.
Pause for copyright. I really like Rick. Rick is a really.
That's a damn good joke, by the way. Like,
what the every damn day? Yeah, I fucking love it.
Also, he called him George of the Jungle as like an insult when George of the Jungle.
It's a really good movie.
We have to rewatch that movie together because I swear to you, it is much weirder and funnier than you remember.
Oh, I'm sure it's some kind of fever dream.
It is.
No, in terms of like his resourcefulness in like a firefight, and his comedy, like it reminds me a lot of Ash Williams from Evil Dead. Like he's confident in himself, but not so cool that like he's not above being taken down a peg or two by like the scenario. Like when he like mummies, then immediately he's yanked off his feet. Like that's really good.
There, Seti's Place, City of the Dead.
My slightly dirty skin and perfect white teeth are ready for rugged adventure. So yeah, Brendan Fraser sticks out like a member of Scrubs in an Indiana Jones movie. But given the film's goofy tone, you could argue that's the point.
I never got that vibe. But
nope.
You compare him to her who knocked down an entire library, her brother who like did a fake out with a corpse. He doesn't actually stand out all that much in terms of goofiness.
In fact, he's like the most like stand in for the
He's the straight man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Point.
Is it just because it's Brendan Fraser and he smiles and that's where Doug is getting it from? Is that all it is?
I mean, he did get weirdly typecast as like the cartoon guy because he did like George of the Jungle and Dudley Do-Right and Looney Tunes.
Monkey Bone. Yeah.
I mean,
well, Looney Tunes was after this movie.
Well, still, but yeah, he kind of fell into that very specific typecast.
Journey to the Center of the Earth. He also got like typecasted because of this.
Oh, yeah, I remember that movie.
It's a silly
Dazzled was good.
environment, so his mismatched voice and look doesn't go unwelcome.
Then get me the hell out of here!
To what? What does it mismatch to? His voice suits him.
It's the
because
Boris Karloff thing. He's going to say he's not black and white, so, you know.
Oh, Jesus.
Problem is, there would have been so many other non-matching actors that would have been even cooler. Can you imagine Bruce Campbell in that role? It'd make no sense, but it'd be awesome.
It would make no sense because he wouldn't be able to keep up with the comedy that everyone else is bringing. It would look really fucking... In fact, you remember in this movie you have, like, the villain guy of the opposing archaeological team?
Yeah.
Even that guy has a comedy to how villainous he is, kind of. So if you put in someone who's, like, super serious, they're not going to match anybody else in this fucking movie. It would just come across really weird.
It is a little odd. He kind of made the same comparison you did. Because that's Ash.
Broken clock. Like, that's a thing.
Who are you and who's the broad? Get me the hell out of here, and by God, tell me why that guy's in that hamster wheel. It's not even attached to anything!
Sadly, though, Frasier...
Almost like it's a cruel and unusual punishment in a really archaic prison, but okay.
This is one of those things where it's just like this type of jokes, it just doesn't land for me. And
it's
I
also...
get that...
Well, go ahead.
No, I was pretty much done. You can go on ahead.
It's also background detail that doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, this is
like funny to point out if you're watching a movie with a group of friends and you're like drinking, but
I was about to say, like, I think he does. I've seen a couple of his videos, and those are probably the videos that I enjoy the most from him. Is when he's just his friends on a couch watching a like famously bad movie. Like that stuff can be a little entertaining, but in a movie review, not really.
Fruit, and he doesn't have to reach that hard.
Yeah, like his Kangaroo Jack video. Like you know what you're getting into when you watch that. It's his friends laughing at a really bad movie.
Out of curiosity, when he does those types of videos, does he kind of keep up the act, or is he a little more like genuine?
I think he keeps up the act.
Okay, because this comes across as like a persona to me.
Oh yeah, remember it was a whole thing when he did his own movies that he instructed everybody else in those things
to act like him,
to act like him, to really exaggerate every movement and facial expression, because as far as he was concerned, that equals comedy. It was a whole thing.
Sure, set to hang and short movie. Actually, his neck doesn't break, which allows Weiss time to bargain for his life, telling his captor that if he releases him, she'll
like
lead them.
Be a common thing or something, you know.
Yeah, the idea that everybody who got hanged, that their neck instantly broke, that's just outright not true. I don't know where that urban myth even comes from.
I think it just comes from the fact that you're dropped and then you stop. So they think neck break.
Well, that's the idea.
It happened on occasion, sure. Yeah. Especially if it was a longer drop than usual, that your body could build some momentum on the way down. Yeah, the full weight of your body on your neck on its own. One fucking good for you. But it wasn't super common, especially if it was a short hanging like that was.
Them to the treasure. He agrees, not realizing forced romantic interludes are a shitty-ass Lucas wipe away.
He's filthy.
What?
What's
forced romantic interludes being that she finds him attractive after he's cleaned himself up? Is that forced? Or is that just...
Well, he already kissed her at this point, so...
And also, the shitty Lucas wipe, the Lucas wipe is fucking... It's just an effect. It just happens. It doesn't, like... It's a great effect when it's applied properly. I don't know. That's just felt really weird that he was calling that shit.
Rude, a complete scoundrel. I don't like him one bit.
Anyone I know?
Oh, my horniness totally forgot what I was saying.
My whole...
It's almost as if, Like
He's
she
hot.
got flustered.
I don't know what to tell you. Brendan Fraser in his prime, he was fucking hot. That's a perfectly natural reaction.
No, yeah, that's
maybe Doug Walker's never been around someone who's attractive, but I mean that actually does happen in real life, you know.
Yeah.
Damn garrison believed in this so much that without orders, they marched halfway across Libya and into Egypt to find that city. And when we got there, all we found was sand and blood.
Like it totally put me off my surfing lessons. I'm a rogue.
One of the most famous books in history.
Joke. Not
was that like a D&D stab, or I don't even know.
I was gonna say if he's anything, he's a fighter, but okay.
Fuck both of you.
Is buried out there. The Book of Amun-Ra.
And the fact that they say that it's made out of pure gold makes no never mind to you, right?
I was thinking of dyeing my hair gold. Would that be cool? I'm a lowlife.
Why did...
What? I don't get it.
He means rogue as in scoundrel, as in criminal.
I guess.
Now I'm getting the joke, it's just not a funny one.
I think this is the thing is like when Nostalgia Critic started out, he mainly reviewed actually kind of bad movies, possibly, or mediocre ones where it could be easy to make fun of. But this is one of those movies where I feel like you'd have to really stretch to make jokes out of it because it's so campy in and of itself.
So you're saying it's like when Cinema Sins talked about Joker, and it's just like, just don't touch this movie then, because apparently you just aren't good at touching things that are legit good.
Yeah.
Did you kiss me?
No, I was about to be hanged. It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Oh, I thought we had something, man, I've known for less than a day.
What?
They sail on a ship, discovering
that was really good dialogue.
It was.
Yeah.
This is painful. I'm in legit pain right now.
Mm-hmm.
But another troop happens to be looking for the exact same thing on the exact same ship. They even come across the exact same wormy comic relief.
You're alive! I was so very, very worried.
Bartok the Bat?
They pay me only half now, half when I...
Hold on. No, there's a fantastic joke fucking right there. It's like, if it ain't my good buddy Benny, I think I'll kill you. Think of my children! You don't have any children. Someday I'd like to... Shut up. It's fucking...
Also, it's like he's drawing on like another role that this actor plays. Is like, wait, is that you? And the entire joke is just lol reference. Didn't we leave that behind in like 2010?
I mean, I made a similar joke in my Spider-Man 2 review, but I tried to... The joke that I used was like nestled in a ton of like valid criticisms, and the idea was break away from like honest questions to what is Father Lantom from Daredevil doing here, and then I just moved on to valid criticisms. It's just I mean, it's a kind of standard joke format, whereas what Nostalgia Critic will do is he'll just make a reference to the thing that that this guy was in. So it's just, yeah.
Yeah, as part of something else, demeaningly referring to a character as something else, I get. It's just using it on its own. It doesn't hold up. It's not strong enough for that.
It comes across as like more of a, hey, fun fact, this actor also did this. And it's like, okay, what does that have to do with this, though?
It's kind of like if I was talking about this movie and I referred to Brendan Fraser the whole time as Cox's friend from Scrubs. It's like, lol, reference, get it, but on its own, it doesn't actually hold any water.
Also, yes, Jake, eggs would probably make me feel way better, specifically sex.
I get them back to Cairo.
Am I supposed to believe that thing woke up after all these years?
You never believed in humming up through, Carmen.
Oh, sure, blame the bat. What the heck, we're easy targets.
Admit it, you're not gonna unhear this! But
I can't.
Is it even the same actor, or
I don't
is it not?
know.
It's the same actor, but he's doing like a whole different accent because he's playing a different character in a voice acting role.
I was also about to say, hot take, I've never seen Anastasia, so I know I'm not gonna like. You're not gonna be pretty good thing.
It has moments that are really good. A lot of it feels kind of flat, especially because of the animation that doesn't hold up. The story on its own, I'd have to watch it again, but I remember it being mostly fine, kinda.
A Universal stunt show breaks out, and everybody is forced to abandon the ship. They manage to come across.
No, you do not get to skip one of the best jokes in the entire fucking movie. So when all the fucking like it's the middle of the gunfight, Jonathan comes across all the Americans. They're just like yeehawing it up. It's like,
oh yeah, they're all hooting and
Americans.
hollering. They're like the stereotype Americans.
The guy who's on fire comes after Jonathan. One of the Americans, who had, by the way, probably fired all 6 of his shots, just sees the guy and then just keeps firing more shots. He fires like 17 times. It kills the guy. Oh my god, it's one of the best jokes in the entire film. Like, this is
also in terms of just like very common criticisms that anyone who's paying attention to movies will have. There's an extended sequence during that whole boat scene where Brendan Fraser is trying to reload his revolver, and it actually takes a frustratingly long time because it's a revolver and you have to put the bullets in individually. And they actually show him doing that, which I thought was actually a very nice detail.
Yeah.
Across some camels, and surprisingly, they don't focus on their flatulence. You missed a cinematic diamond mine. And they travel to the ruins using Dave for Night and Dumb for Smart.
What the hell? Okay, so here's the thing. Yeah, filming Day for Night, it can be frustrating, like when it's Mad Max Fury Road. But for things like The Mummy, I can kind of accept it, mainly because if it truly was the middle of the night in the desert, they'd have, like, no light whatsoever.
Well, why is it infuriating in Fury Road then?
Because it's very blue.
Yeah,
it's like they put a blue filter on over all the footage.
Yeah, that's
but
more
it's so very clearly blue. Whereas in this, you kind of see it's like blued and also grayed out, so it looks kind of colorless and dark and nighttimey. Now, I will still argue that if you film at night in the desert, you do actually still have moonlight, which is annoying if you're a cameraman, but not impossible to work with.
Right.
But yeah, I can see why in Fury Road it would be more aggravating.
Yeah, in Fury Road it's infuriating because it's
too
blue.
Obvious.
Yeah, it basically just makes you just go like, all right, fuck it. The moon just doesn't exist anymore. Just do that.
Also, in Fury Road, you can actually see on their faces and on the details of everything else, they still have like the very harsh, dark shadows cast by actual daylight.
Yeah,
whereas in that you really didn't. It was a lot more muted.
Yeah, in Moonlight, the shadows are very muddled. All right.
What are we doing?
Patience, my good Baratam. Patience.
You know, sir, really, you should watch your blood pressure. Stress, it's a killer, sir.
We're about to be shown the way.
Gotta pause for copyright. And go.
You sure it's not just playing a DuckTales cartoon? My god, these effects!
Can you believe it? Hominoptera.
Here we go again.
Derp. So they make it to the city and start looking for Rich.
Comedy gold.
God damn, dude.
This is like, why I don't watch Nostalgia Critic, man. It's like it's not even entertaining that or
insanely low effort.
Yeah.
Even a joke, it didn't register on the scale.
Yeah, I like flicked the scale. I just went like nothing. I could tell Doug is like sucking the energy from you two.
Also, my avatar's been like the guy from The Point this whole time. I gotta change it back. It's annoying me.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Like, Nostalgia Critic is just such a drain on fucking my soul, my spirit. It's just like I can't.
He's just not worth talking about. Basically, it's just there's nothing really It's not like Patrick Willems where like there's stuff to deconstruct or there's interesting ideas he's referring to. It's all just low effort jokes that are thrown into a video, and he's like, here's my review by Nostalgia Critic. I'm like, not really.
Yeah, the most interesting things we've had to talk about are the parts of the movies he skipped over because he couldn't think of a joke to put over them.
Yeah, it's that bad. It's and we've got like 19 more minutes of this.
And he
honestly, his Grinch video wasn't this bad because his Grinch video was mostly just him missing the point. So we actually had things like, actually, no, here's this, and this, and we would actually talk about those scenes from the movie.
Also,
whereas this is just we have to fill in the gaps that he leaves out.
Yeah, and not to mention like just these low effort jokes, and we're just like, all right, sooner or later we'll finally stop responding to them.
I mean, I have some small amount of hope when we get to the third act that if he points out like some actual criticisms,
I don't think he
then we
will.
can talk about them.
I don't think he will. Remember, he flat out called Van Helsing not a monster movie.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Film was used to shoot that rope scene. I think we all acknowledge it was worth it. They journey inward to see what they can find.
They ripped out your guts and they stuffed them in jars.
And then they take out your heart as well.
Again, they missed quite a great scene when they're just like...
Okay, this is something I brought up during our original watching of this, but in Mummification, they did not take out the heart.
Yeah, they were...
In fact, it was very, very important to their religion that you leave the heart in, because in the afterlife, the heart is what gets weighed to judge the sins of the life you led.
Yeah,
so it's something that was added in just for this movie, and it's not accurate Egyptology, but like it's fine. It's consistent with what happens in the movie, so I'm not going to judge the movie for it, but it's just one of those things that actually stood out to me because I was one of those kids who was just too into Egypt stuff.
Well, yeah, you heard Rachel Weisz just say like they'll take out your heart, and you just went false.
Yeah.
Well, that's the end of them. No, they just missed it. God damn it.
Oh, also, fuck, the scene where they're at the statue and it's everybody pointing the guns at each other. That's a pretty good scene.
Mm-hmm.
And find the Book of the Dead.
What did you say, Slayer?
Go on. I said, but he's not going to talk about those.
Yeah, of course he's not. I have betrayed the narrative.
Chapter, however, finds one of the deadly bugs concealed in a Cadbury egg that somehow survived all these years despite being in a Cadbury egg.
Okay. Pause. We have to talk about this, because I didn't mention it when they showed the curse mummification scene earlier. But, okay, scarabs do not eat human flesh. That's not a thing they do. But... after they invade the very obviously fucking cursed tomb, the scarabs that we're seeing are pretty fucking obviously not natural scarabs. They're cursed magical flesh-eating whatever the fucks. So they act consistently in terms of what they are in the context of the movie. As in protectors, whatever the fuck, of the tomb.
Yeah.
They're not normal scarabs. Saying it's like, oh, I guess they just happen to survive all this. No. They're clearly magical. They're one of the first magical things we see in the movie. Because they don't act like normal scarabs. And that effect under his skin, I don't give a fuck. That holds up well.
Oh no, I'm being photoshopped to death! Christ, is Macaulay Culkin in that tomb with him?
That's the best joke you got?
Really? Get it? He screams.
This is probably the best joke he's done in the entire video.
Just, okay, you're reminding me of a very funny moment in Home Alone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reference, lol, get it?
See, Doug doesn't make me exhausted when I hear his jokes. I just get angry because I'm just like, what?
We gotta stop covering nostalgia Craig videos.
This is the
it
second
does
time.
Something to us,
This
man.
is the second time.
We've watched more than that.
No, well, you and me have, because we watched like a total like of 3 videos. But for Y.A.R.P, we've only watched like 2, including this one.
He died as he lived, like Curly Howard. The crucified morons show up a day late, proving they suck at what they do, and making them even more dumb when they just tell them to leave, and then they leave.
Leave this place or
yeah,
die.
The whole objective was to scare them away. What's your point?
Ninja, you did bring up how it's weird how they give him like a whole day.
Yeah, it's a little weird considering that the Magi know why they're here. They're protecting, Imhotep from being raised, so they know the potential risks involved in leaving these people here.
Yeah, so
true, but their objective is to make them leave. So they will turn up, they will fire off a load of rounds, they will impose themselves as like a really big scary threat, and they will make leaving as an attractive option as possible. It's like you've time to pack up all your shit, you've time to like lessen the cost of whatever the fuck you're doing, as long as you get the fuck away from here. So in terms of like their objective, it doesn't seem that bad.
I guess my thing is with the risks involved, you would think it's like, no, you need to leave now. I don't care if you don't take your shit. I don't care if you lose money on you're leaving. Your choices are stay here and die or leave.
Yeah, and
but if they know that the people who are coming here are treasure hunters specifically, saying, I don't care if you lose money, they would know from experience, because their clan has been doing this for thousands of years, that that's just going to make them double down and try to recuperate some cost and take yet another artifact away from this place that will lead back to this place. Which is what happened.
Well, that's still what happens with them leaving him here for an extra day.
Not necessarily. If they scare them enough and say, you have a day to pack up your shit and leave, it takes about a day to pack up your shit and leave.
Right, but I'm just saying that that's what happens in the movie, not hypothetically. Like that is literally what happens. They give him an extra day and bad shit happens.
Yeah, whereas if they was like, you've got an hour, grab your shit and go.
But would they be able to make a threat after their actual assault more or less failed?
It didn't fail. It was a standstill with the leader. I'm sure what's the no, not Ed. That's fucking Ned Stark's name. What's his fucking name? The Magi guy.
I don't remember. I just
remember Ardeth Bay.
Yeah, so
his name is Bay, really?
It's Ardeth Bay, which is a reference to the Boris Karloff movie.
Yeah.
I mean, he is Bay, but goddamn, you don't have to be that on the nose with it.
I will get a picture, however, of that horse's face. That horse has that's a fucking face and a half right there, I tell you. I don't know. It's really weird. If Ardeth had been killed by Rick, then I'm sure the second in command would have just taken over and probably would have killed the rest of them. I'm not sure. That's
my thing. It's like, if your goal is to protect the place, and they aren't leaving and they're not taking the threat seriously, okay, you start killing people until they start taking the threat seriously. Like that's how important this is.
Did, though? When they rode into the camp, they started shooting at people and cutting people down.
No, I mean after that. Because after this they leave and they're like, you've got 24 hours. Why?
Yeah, and with because they don't take it seriously. They're just like, we'll just combine forces at night then to prevent this from happening again. And it's just like, oh. Meanwhile, if they just went like, hey, you've got an hour, leave, they would have been like, So we either take our chances and stay, and like they might have greater numbers, or we just leave.
Right, but if their plan was to just double their night watch anyways, and they were given an hour, they would have just prepared and entrenched themselves for when they come back in an hour. I don't think it would have made that much of a difference, honestly.
I mean, the Legionnaires barely lasted, and they actually kind of did hunker themselves down.
Well, I guess if you're looking at it like that, would you rather give them an hour to entrench or 24 hours to entrench? Because they do the same thing either way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, those are our choices, huh? Hey, you notice how their backs are to us right now? Of course, having half your crew killed and your life threatened doesn't mean you can't get smashed.
All of them? They were clearly outnumbered. How?
Yeah, because guess what? After you shoot probably 6 of them in the back, they have all turned around and they've now shot you.
That would be a horrible idea.
It's nice to know that Doug would not survive his first combat engagement.
I mean, he's the one that apparently.
It's a weird place to draw comfort from, but I'll give it to you.
He's the one that would have given a Tommy gun. Apparently, he goes all single shot, like he's got ammo to fucking conserve.
The exact same night.
I know when to say no.
And unlike your brother, miss, I just don't get.
I am going to kiss you.
You missed a great fucking character moment, Doug.
Well, no, he doesn't want to include those. The movie's bad, remember?
Yeah, those don't bolster his point.
Mr. O'Connell?
Call me Rick.
Kurt Russell. That would have been a weird but badass choice. I could totally see him in that role.
Call me Rick. And for God's sakes,
what's with Doug and his weird fetish for old dudes?
But yeah, well, that also, does he just have a problem with Brendan Fraser?
He does.
Apparently.
Well, at this time they wouldn't have been old. Ash, like.
But he's specifically using the old pictures.
I know that's the weird thing. He's using the older versions of them when they would have been quite young at this point. Kurt Russell would have been like in his 30s.
I don't think.
I still argue that would have been weird because right now, Brendan Fraser and her are roughly the same age, whereas even back then, Kurt Russell would have been a good bit older than her.
Yeah.
Grow your eyebrows back. What are you doing?
Well, I'd say never on a first date, but this never happens on a first date.
To Brendan Fraser in his prime, it absolutely fucking did.
I could make a joke about Doug Walker's sex life, but that's just low-hanging fruit. Jesus Christ.
It's the lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, let it go.
Okay, that's the one thing Brendan Fraser could add that nobody else could add. This whole entire performance might be worth it just for that one reaction. You hold on to that, Fraser. Let no one take that from you. But they discover Imhotep's corpse and are surprised.
Yeah, it's like just one of many where Brendan Fraser acts like Brendan Fraser. It's not so much that he says that it works, that's the problem. It's that he treats it like it's unique in the movie.
There's several good moments like that, especially it's the little moments like about their relationship, like that moment where she comes out of the tent and she's wearing the Arab getup, and he was like making the joke about selling his sister and how it would be tempting, and he's like awfully tempting. Like that's a good and it's always those moments between him and Evie or about him and Evie where that kind of comes to the forefront. But oh well, Doug doesn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, Doug just thinks it's a shit movie because it's not black and white.
To find he
hasn't actually brought that argument up yet, by the way.
He brought it up at the beginning.
It's coming.
He hasn't cycled back to it, but we'll see.
Composing after all these years. Perhaps it has something to do with the remains of the bugs in his tomb.
They can stay alive for years, feasting on the flesh of a corpse.
So somebody threw these in with our guy and then they slowly ate him alive?
Very slowly.
Yes, as we already saw, they really take their time there. They're like flesh-eating snails.
That's a single one.
Also different things, because this is another joke I made when we watched it together. But when they pour scarabs on him when he's being mummified, those scarabs don't eat flesh. Those are just normal scarabs. So they will actually just feast on like decomposing flesh like normal bugs, beetles, and etc. do. So that's why they were thrown into the coffin. But they didn't eat him alive like the scarabs we see in the temple do. The movie could have done a better job of like distinguishing the two, sure, but they're not the same thing.
That or Hollywood was just wrong and assumed like the beetles were flesh eaters, like that they were trying to say.
I mean, could be. I wouldn't put it past Hollywood to be wrong.
The other guys find ancient soap dispensers, unaware that they hold some of Imhotep's vital organs. This will make
No, those are Moon's organs.
Make him happy though when he wakes.
Also, I mean, isn't that kind of? Yeah, I mean, they're canopic jars, and that's kind of a religious thing. Like, I mean, that's seems a little insensitive, culturally insensitive, but whatever, Doug. It's for a joke, right?
Yeah, soap dispensers. Although, honestly, I think as like tourist items, you can actually buy soap dispensers shaped like canopic jars. So I'm not going to hold it against them too hard.
Gentlemen,
Yes.
I have a shift tomorrow morning that starts at 9 a.m. And it's 10:43 where I am right now.
Alright.
I unfortunately have to go, but I will catch you all later. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no worries.
Alrighty.
Enjoy your shift.
Good luck. Enjoy Nostalgia Critic.
Oh yes.
I'll probably do my best with that.
Yeah.
Probably unsuccessfully. We'll see.
All right.
All the pressure's just now on you, Evan.
Yep. You got to carry this one, Evan.
Oh, it's like that scene in Inception where all the projections just start staring at the person, just like we're all just staring at Evan now.
All right. Later, y'all.
All right.
Later.
Good night.
Good night. We gotta quickly adjust Discord tisms. This movie is really good. I just want to keep saying that. Like Doug.
Well, at least at the part where he is now, it's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the only hope I'm holding out for him in this entire quote review is if he gets to the part where there are actual plot problems and he calls those out, maybe then we can throw him some credit. But until then, he's just
doubtful.
He's just drawing from the bottom of the barrel.
Don't.
Scraping the bucket for any
Don't
kind
give
of
me
joke.
hope.
Yeah. Yeah, it is just
But
Hawkeye.
it's like the sun, guys.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
All right.
Wakes up after Doof and Doofus read the passage that resurrects him from the Book of the Dead. See how much cooler that would be?
How cool
in
it
that
would
same
be. He
realm.
didn't show us anything.
This unleashes a plague of fake-ass locusts, sadly not led by James Earl Jones. All hell starts to break loose as even more of those bugs are released, still eating people super slowly, as you can see.
Very slow.
The different beetles by this point. By this point, they are cursed beetles.
Yeah, after she reads from the magic book, it unleashes magic beetles who don't behave like normal beetles. Oh my god, so inconsistent. Jesus fucking Christ, Doug.
I mean, I guess they could have made the Beatles like a different color or something, but to me, it's really not that big of a deal.
They made them
either
huge.
way.
Like, I thought that would be enough. Like, they made those beetles huge. Those scarabs, I mean, they made them huge as opposed to the ones from the previous scene.
Slowly.
You know, has anyone considered she has no idea what she's talking about? Thus, only an hour in, we finally get our
why
mummy.
would we think that?
Yeah,
We've been shown in the movie that she's highly educated.
Yeah, she can read the language. It doesn't mean she automatically knows A, that the magic that those people were using was real, or B, that, like, what she was reading from this random book that was a priceless historical artifact was also the liturgy of an actual curse.
And pretty sure Legends of the Hidden Temple would have done him better.
Wow. This, like, for each stage of Imhotep regenerating his body actually looks fucking fantastic. Other than the one we see the least is the right after he kills the Egyptologist. It's just like the pasty white skin kind of before he whitens his mouth and the flies
I
shoot
mean,
out.
it's not the best CGI in the world, but for what it is, it's fine. Like, it's passable.
Oh yeah, for what it is and when it is, it actually holds up really well.
Yeah, this is 1999.
Evan, what does this look like to you?
In terms of CGI?
Yeah, like
This looks like a product of its time. Like this
Yeah.
looks like the 90s. Like this looked pretty solid for that. It's not like I mean, yeah, you have to consider this. I mean, like if a movie were to come out today and it had something like this, I would put that as a criticism. I'd be like, this looks really dated. This looks like the 90s. This isn't very good CGI up to our standards of today. But for the 90s, man, this looks pretty solid.
How funny would it have been if you just like, yeah, that looks like a mummy. And it's like, oh, fair enough.
Gasp. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, given the time period, it's pretty bad.
No.
Please show me a reference from 99 that looked like way better than that.
Phantom Menace, but that's not fair because that's Lucas money.
I don't know. Most of the CGI in Phantom Menace doesn't hold up. I would argue some of it's even worse.
Huh. I'd have to
I will
rewatch
be
it.
back in about a second. Give me a minute.
Okay, now we're trying to do a troll face.
First of all, he's a fucking mummy, so his face doesn't look like fucking what's the actor's face. Like, what is this logic?
If it was on a tree from The Wizard of Oz, what are we doing? Frasier saves her
What are you doing, Doug?
by blasting his emo dick, but the crucifying schmucks block them off.
I told you to leave or die. You refused. Now you may have killed us all.
You know, I love the way this guy says everything. No matter what he's talking about, I feel like it should always be followed by, man, or, you know?
I told you to leave or die.
Man.
You refused.
You know?
Now you may have killed
That
us
comes
all.
across a little racist, doesn't it?
I don't even know, man.
It hurts. Like, it's physically painful. Like, is this what normies find fucking funny? Because this dude has way too many subscribers for my preference.
It makes me sad. I'm
It
like,
really does.
it
Like,
makes-
what the fuck is... There's no justice in the world. This guy is successful. There is no Firefly Season 2. I'm sad.
There
God
is
damn it.
no God.
Yeah.
No, the fact that it always makes me like it's why I sent that message like a couple days ago. Like, what's more depressing, the fact that Twin Perfect it's Marcus Brownlee makes like 11K a month, or the fact that Jim Sterling makes like 14K a month, and you were just like, they're both bad. It was like, yeah, I would say Jim making 14K is worse.
Man.
Relax,
I mean, if people want to light their money on fire, can they at least throw a little my way?
If you're gonna waste it, like, just give it to somebody who actually wants it.
No mortal weapon can kill this creature.
You know?
He's not of this world.
Man. But Imhotep comes across Benny, who quite amusingly prays to every religion he can think of.
It's almost like it's a good character moment, Doug.
Yeah, it's very
God,
informative.
another fucking bat reference.
Now we're getting angry. Now you're getting angry too.
Yeah, this would have been funny, like a recurring joke if it had been funny the first time, but it wasn't, dude.
Long you've been dead, you look pretty good.
What is the necessary?
Were you just keeping those in your pelvic bone? You have no skin, you have no clothes.
He's
There's
literally
nowhere else you could...
fucking magical.
By this, oh my god, yeah, he's a fucking undead lich creature. That gold could not even be real. Like, the implication is that the rewards will be great. And what's something that mortals normally fantasize over? Gold. That's enough that you would need to fucking tempt anyone to the dark side.
Could keep it. This really needs an answer, despite how much I don't want it.
The nostalgia critic ad break.
How funny would that be if it turns out this was just the end?
I mean, it's not too late. We could just hit the button.
But in terms of like, it needs an answer, okay. 1, it's an illusion. 2, he grabbed someone on his way here because he knew he would need to tempt mortals to his service. 3, he was actually buried with some gold. It wouldn't be that unusual, given his station as the high priest, even if he was being cursed. So, I brought this up when we were watching the movie as well, the fact that one of the neat details in this movie is that when the main girl, when she's reading off one of the sarcophagi, she's reading like "He who will not be named." When the ancient Egyptians buried someone that they didn't like, or someone who committed abhorrent crimes against the pharaoh or whatever, one of the things they would do is that they would either mangle or omit their name. But they would still bury them mummified in accordance with all the rituals. So, yeah, he would still be buried with treasure because he was the high priest. It was a very important station in their times. But his name on the sarcophagus would be fucked up. So they wouldn't know his name. He'd be forgotten to history, but buried with honors. It was an actual, very nice, neat historical detail that they incorporated into the movie. So yeah, if Duck Walker really wants an answer to why he would have some gold, there it is. But it really doesn't actually make a difference to the fucking plot.
Wow, that was a...
Just nothing.
What, the video just canceled itself? That was also like ear-splitting loud.
So Fraser
did you bump it down a little bit?
Can't you adjust your own the stream
I
volume?
can. It's just in terms of like the overall stream and stuff. I know that if it's loud for us, it might be loud for everybody.
I've already adjusted that through OBS.
Okay, fair enough. Great.
It's the sake of my own hearing that I'm breaking it.
Suggest they leave, Weiss suggests they stay, and the rest of us debate if this sounds more like Will and Grace are mad about you.
I told you not to play around that thing. Didn't I tell you not to play around that thing?
Right then, me. I woke him up and I intend to stop him.
Oh yeah? How? You heard the man.
Gotta pause for copyright. Another great conversation.
What's wrong with this scene? Like, what's wrong with this dialogue?
It's almost like they've got fucking chemistry, and he just wants to get her out.
No mortal weapons can kill this guy.
Christ, at this point I'd take Archer in this role. Look, you can either tag along with me or stay here and try to save
fucking even.
First of
Archer would unironically be hilarious in this role, but he would also derail the entire movie.
He'd be drunk the entire time. He'd be drunk off.
They actually kind of had an Archer episode about this.
Well, yeah, wasn't there a whole season about him being like? See, the coma seasons, I've heard they're not very well liked, but at the very least,
they're not the good stuff.
Yeah.
The 1930s detective one wasn't bad, but it doesn't amount to much.
The problem being is that it basically just reduces everyone back to season 1 attitudes. None of the depth and complexity.
What's worse is the season when he comes back from the coma and everyone has changed, but he hasn't. That's kind of painful.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the original seasons, because it's like, oof, this character that you've kind of grown to like, even though you acknowledge he's an asshole, now everyone is like, you're an asshole. And it's like, oof.
But they were already like, you're an asshole. But
no, not to this degree. It's weird. It's painful if you watch the latest season.
Yeah,
it's a hard one.
Like Lana got married. Cyril is like the best agent ever.
Yeah, they all moved on without him.
Cyril was incompetent. That was kind of the whole thing.
Not anymore. Yeah, all of the old stereotypes are gone. It's really weird.
Except Cheryl, she's still fucking annoying.
I mean, she used to be funny annoying.
No,
not anymore.
Oh, okay.
I'll just probably say that her style of humor didn't get to me, so I was just like, all right, I guess at one point she probably was funny.
The world. Do you want mummies? Because this is how you get mummies. Lana! Frasier goes to the bar to get.
He can't even do fucking Archer jokes right.
Wow.
I'm not shocked. It's Doug. It's fucking Doug.
Also, really, when he's in like, that's the low-hanging fruit of like referencing Archer. Just the Lana.
It's like I said earlier, it's just low reference. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is how he caters to the normies, though, guys. This is what we have to do to get the subs. We just need to be following Doug's example. He's trying to lead us to the promised land. God damn it!
It's like I just look at Evan, the replicant who, like, I don't remember if replicants can get drunk or not, but he's just sitting there with a bottle of whiskey anyway. It's like, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna fucking try.
He drinks. I sure hope I can get drunk.
I mean, I've been drinking.
This stream will only improve with the alcotisms.
Oh, I made a cocktail the second like I realized we were talking beforehand for like an hour. I was just like, I'm gonna make myself a fucking drink.
Oh yeah, Y.A.R.P is not a professional podcast. We fully encourage anybody to drink during the episodes. It's fine.
Yeah, I think we get better with alcohol.
Honestly, I've been drinking during most of the streams because most of the streams are just me hanging out with my friends in the weekend. So
yeah,
you know, fucking
until you drink a little too much. That hasn't happened for a while.
We don't talk about that.
One time this happens.
One time.
It happened twice.
Once. It was one episode. It counts as one incident. Okay.
Hammered, where an ex-pilot talks about his woes about there being no adventures anymore. I'm sure absolutely nothing in the near future will tie into this.
Chucked us in with it.
Oh my god, it's called foreshadowing. That's a good thing.
That's called character setup. Doug, you retard.
Yeah. It's literally set up for a future payoff.
And not even that far in the future, really.
The others and gone down in flame and glory instead of sitting around here rotting of boredom and booze.
Yes, Chairman Mouse from the Rescuer movies. Oh, it actually is him. Random. The Mummy and Benny locate one of the people who took the sacred jars.
I'm so confused as, was that a joke? Was that a reference?
I don't know.
Because he clearly knew that that's who that was when he made the joke, or he wouldn't have made it. And then he acts confused that he knew who it was because he made it. How do we even dissect that? Jesus Christ.
Don't think about it, just laugh. Just be a normie and laugh, Slur.
But that's the thing, I don't even think normies are really the intended audience because normies don't like going into this much detail about movies.
Yeah, I think this is nitpicky or like just overthinking it.
I'm afraid more is needed. Whoa. The prince must finish the job and consummate the curse.
I guess a curse just ain't what it used to be, huh, sir?
Which you and your friends have brought down upon yourselves.
And a side note, know, that was very nice of you to fill me in before you kill me. I mean, I know you got a lot on your plate right now, and time is probably of the essence, so it's very considerate of you to do.
But, so first off, in terms of the time sensitivity, really is not. Yeah, I got the fucking warning. It's like, heads up, we've detected copyright audio. I fucking knew that was gonna happen. It doesn't seem to have only hitched for like a second.
Also, with him constantly referencing the bat and Anastasia, the more he does it, the more he highlights that voice actor is doing like a completely different accent, just highlighting that he's a pretty good voice actor.
Yeah.
So, that's neat, I guess.
Well, and you know, the weird thing is, Doug would be making the exact opposite criticism if you took out all this exposition. He'd be like, well, how are we supposed to know what's going on? Or how are we supposed to care about anything when they don't tell us what's going on? So he just wants to bitch about something.
We are in serious trouble.
You know, I should probably count how many times a good one-liner is instead of replaced by Brendan Fraser making a stupid face and stating the obvious.
We are in serious trouble.
Derp.
What? It's
Let him finish his count and then we'll talk.
Well, nah, I gotta give it a minute because I got another hey, we've detected copyright. I'm gonna have to fucking. So this stream will probably not be able to sit on its own for it'll be stewing in the backlog of the content thing while I fucking dispute whatever YouTube will throw my way.
Hooray.
I'll be seeing you again.
Derp.
These guys just don't quit, do they?
Derp.
This just keeps getting better and better.
Derp.
We are in very.
Also, ow, with all your fucking dings, Doug.
You don't sound mix the ding. It's like a rule.
Apparently it's a fucking rule to let the ding be as ear-piercingly god damn it.
Serious trouble.
Derp. The mummy moves in on Weiss, but gets pussy whipped being afraid of cats who are revealed to be the guardians of the underworld.
that was a you going false.
Yeah, that was another one where the accuracy goes off the rails because Guardians of the Underworld, no. And I even pointed this out again when we watched it originally, that they could have easily written this in so that everything works the exact same by saying that they were sacred to that culture. They were sacred, he is cursed, one repels the other. It's fine. You don't have to retcon them as guardians of the underworld when that's just not what they were.
Weiss's boss was in cahoots with the Crucifon dorks and helped him in their terrible job of protecting the world.
Apparently, even after 3,000 years.
He's still in love with her.
Man!
Perhaps he would once again try to raise her from the dead.
You know?
Again, another recurring
he's still
joke.
Yeah, he's still doing that.
I still don't get any kind of dude bro or surfer vibe from that guy. Where is he getting that from?
Evan, you want
is
your
it just
drink
the
topped
hair?
off?
Yeah. I know mine is.
It is Doug Walker's special skill just keeping jokes on life support for extended periods of time?
I don't know. That's the problem.
Because apparently these jokes did not have a DNR.
And he stretched forth his hand towards the heavens, and there was darkness throughout.
No, yeah, because that brother character is entirely useless. They try to justify him by having him quote the Bible every time something plaguey happens.
There was darkness throughout the land of Egypt, and the rivers and waters of Egypt ran.
I'm sorry. When you're recognizing the plagues, that might be a good thing to fucking. Oh my god.
You don't exactly have to be a scholar to know that.
Yeah. Maybe he just saw the Prince of Egypt. I don't know.
It's kind of a good animated movie.
Yeah.
It was
really good.
Really well animated movie.
Yeah, we should rewatch that one day.
And even though he's kind of bumbling comic relief, it's set up that he's got high levels of education just like Evie.
Yeah, like he's just
So,
not as. It's just his skills seem to be more in the field, and also.
Well, he's highly educated, but he's got personality flaws. He's a drunk. He gambles. He makes poor decisions. Doesn't mean he's an idiot.
Right. He seemed to have basically pissed away his career, but he's still. That doesn't mean he's not smart. That's actually one of my favorite things is when they acknowledge that when characters who have kind of fallen from academic grace and they show their skills. Harley Quinn was a fucking psychiatrist. And they make her like they forget that and just make her the bubbly Mr. J type.
Yeah.
And red and were as blood.
Oh, shut up, VeggieTales, you're still pointless! So Frasier decides to lock Weiss in her room, leave the other rogues to look after her, and bring the brother with him to find Imhotep.
She doesn't come out, and no one goes in. Right? Right. Let's go, Jonathan.
Wow! Every single one of those choices was wrong! She knows the most about the mummy, so she should go along. They're more qualified to...
The mummy is the most...
Whoa. No.
The mummy
She's what the mummy is after. Do not bring her to the mummy. That's a bad move.
Yeah.
Also, the people that he chooses to guard her are the ones who are clearly the more experienced with firearms. So, not necessarily a bad choice there.
Yeah, it's making a video game argument. You know what the monster's gonna do, so you're trying to counter. Well, that's what Doug's trying to do. He knows what Imhotep's going to do next. So, how do we counter all that? Evie actually goes with them, and it's like, that's not how this works.
So they should go along, and I refer you back to useless. Does anyone know how to do their job in this movie? I guess he didn't want a repeat of what happened. Him running into Benny, the mummy killing another scrounger, putting the moves on Weiss, a plague happening, and being scared by a cat. So what happens? He runs into Benny, the mummy kills another scrounger, puts the moves on Weiss, a plague happens, and he's scared by a cat.
So, I don't think it matters, but two of those things actually happened out of order. The plague and Weiss happening.
Come through there!
Yeah, with the exception of the explanation with Weiss's boss, which even then I feel like we could have figured out, the past 8 minutes are just a repeat and totally should have been deleted. But at least 2 more souls are sucked dry, which means the mummy must look at least a little more realistic now. As realistic as a cartoon mouth app on your phone. Is this mummy meant to be scary or adorable? I'm gonna say a scarable.
Okay, so if you see that and you go adorable, I think you need help.
He also swipes right on every bitch who has like a dog Snapchat filter on Tinder, isn't he?
Married.
But also, yeah, the mouth thing. I pointed it out earlier as one of the things we criticized. Not necessarily because the effect is bad, but because it just looks really weird, especially when it goes extra wide when he's just talking normally.
This is I'm just like, I'm looking at this face, and this is just the face of something I can see in my fucking nightmares.
Oh, he's got crazy eyes. No one should ever sleep with this person.
Keep that in mind for later.
Imhotep hypnotizes an army and forces them to go
What?
What, his face? You want me
Yes.
to keep his face in mind for later? Hold on, I'll just put it in the chat then.
after our heroes.
Faster.
Patience is a virtue.
Not right now, it isn't.
Derp. They escape through the back.
Oh god.
Oh.
All right. This is it.
We're getting there.
I'm calling it. I'm calling it. No more nostalgia critic.
Yeah.
Ever.
I'm fine with that. Like, unless something like really.
Doug Walker is dead to us.
We don't even have an audience, and we've already developed like 2 people that we just will no longer cover.
Yeah.
There's just nothing here.
Nothing.
Yeah, there's not. I
And
get
even his joke where like he just makes a stupid face and states the obvious. Most of that is something that any normal person would say in that circumstance.
Yeah,
You know,
it really is.
Patience is virtue. Not right now. It isn't. Get in the fucking car. It's like it's fine. It's perfectly fine as a line of dialogue.
You okay over there, Evan?
I'm just dying inside and I'm slowly being eaten alive on the inside by those bugs from the movie.
You're just
welcome to Y.A.R.P.
I love how quiet you are with that too. You're just sitting in silence as like this Dr. Critic tortures you. You're just watching us just writhe in pain. You're just like, hello, darkness, my old friend.
I don't care that much about this movie, and I sure as hell don't care about like any of his jokes. I just am like, dude, this is not funny, and
we brought this up at the start. It's like we have some criticisms about this movie. We don't think it's that great either.
Well, I mean,
it's
I think this movie's pretty
everything he's using to criticize it or demean it or make it out to seem like it's goofier or stupider than it actually is just so off the mark.
Yeah. Well, but the reason he's doing that is so that he can look and say, see, all of this stupid, goofy humor is what makes it worse than the black and white one. Because that one was high art.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, that's the thing. With any nostalgic critic view, it can go either way. He will go through an entire movie doing this exact bullshit, and in the last 5 seconds go, oh, but it's actually like really meaningful and thoughtful and blah 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 blah. And that's it. That's how he ends the review. Like, he doesn't actually stand by anything he says as an actual point. It's what makes him so frustrating. Let's get through this shit.
But the mummy has an extra trick up his sleeve. Okay, glad you got that out of your system.
Ow, this fucking volume. Alright.
Army eventually corners them as the fully regenerated Imhotep approaches. And if Weiss is anything like she was earlier, she's probably like, ooh, that's what he looks like all put together?
Guitar mi faros.
Whatever he's asking, yes.
Sirion.
Convince me, my princess.
She's horny for one guy after he cleaned up, therefore she's horny for every guy after he cleans up? That's some slut shaming, my dude. That's problematic. We don't do that here.
You can't do that. This is current year, my guy.
Yeah, you gotta respect all the thoughts.
Take my hand, and I will spare your friends.
Is this the face of a bat who would lie to you?
She decides to go with him under the condition that he spares her friends. He agrees to disagree.
Déjame!
No! Go with me! It was the noble, stupid thing to do. Her boss sacrifices himself so the rest can escape, and they go.
Okay, oh, perfect. He missed some actual legit flaws. So it's a little weird that the boss guy didn't go with them. And then we'll break this down in 2 parts. Boss, and then the fact that they drive up to this place in the car that in that very scene that he showed just a second ago, they had crashed.
Yeah, also Benny knowing ancient Egyptian to translate for them when the whole premise of him working for Imhotep is that he spoke the language of slaves.
Yeah, it was built upon
Hebrew.
It was built upon the Hebrew thing. Begin discussion. It is really weird that the boss didn't go with them. There's clearly enough space. What?
There's enough space, but he wanted to give them enough of a head start that the other people who clambered down into the tunnels wouldn't catch up. Even though he didn't hold them off for that long, he bought them enough time that they could get enough ahead to not get caught. That's not great, but it's fine.
Alright, now the car thing. It's really...
I mean, that's more of like a continuity error kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, they absolutely shouldn't have had it.
It's about
it's one of those things where they shoot the movie out of sequence.
Yeah.
And so they probably shot it where they had the car and then, edited it out or, fucked it
Yeah,
up
I
in
think
editing or
even,
whatever you want to say it.
It's as much of
we
a
double checked just to make sure it was the same car, and it's like, oh, it is. Huh. That doesn't make sense. Anyway, moving on.
It's almost as much of a continuity error as like Freddy with the whole like Shazam videos.
Yeah, like he shouldn't have been on the camera, but he was, and they used a shot of him being on camera when the rest of the movie he acts like he wasn't. Wonder who that mystery guy is who's doing all the recording, huh? Clearly you, Freddy. We can see you on the tape.
Except in Shazam, they could have put in like a 2-second clip of him editing himself out. That would have fixed it. In this, you can't just retroactively.
Oh yeah, it's
okay.
To Chairman Mouse for the use of his plane.
What's the challenge then?
Rescue the damsel in distress, kill the bad guy, and save the world.
Oh, one of these bullshit movies, righto!
What?
I mean, they set up earlier that the guy was literally just hunger for any kind of adventure as an excuse to die in the blaze of battle.
I was going to say specifically something that would kill him. Like, what does this have to do with Their Majesty's Royal Air Service? Not a damn thing.
It's like if a 5-year-old came up to him and said, my friend just ran off into the desert one day. I need to go rescue him because, I don't know, my parents just don't give a shit. I fully believe, based on what little we know about that character, he would have agreed to that too. He doesn't give a shit.
Anything to get in that fucking plane.
Yeah, anything to taste any kind of action again.
Emotep travels via warp whistle, and I gotta say, for being in a sandstorm, they look pretty damn good. But Mr. Sandman isn't done yet.
Copyright.
Isn't it kind of too late already, or is that not how that works?
Well, I'd like to. Well, if by this point I'm trying to just keep the stream alive, like once this is over, like I'll have to do the disputing. But if like I shouldn't just immediately just let like movie scenes play for like full 5 minutes, because then the stream will be taken down completely. Like, and before I have a chance to even dispute it.
My god, this must be Anakin Skywalker's worst nightmare.
I don't like sand.
Get it? He doesn't like sand.
Okay, that was okay-ish. He shouldn't have played the clip.
Yeah, if it was just a LOL reference, it would have been fine.
Yeah. Ish. That's not...
some of these other jokes, would have been better if he had just kind of been like one and done, just a quick reference and then move on. It's the fact that he keeps dragging them back up again and again. It just, I mean, there wasn't a lot there to begin with, but if it was just a throwaway gag, we could be like, okay, fine, haha.
Or if you're gonna keep doing the running on jokes, then you gotta fucking write them better, man. I don't know, maybe you could do something with the whole, like, actors that, like, just a little headcanon what could have done a better job, even though Brendan Fraser was fucking fantastic in this film. It's just weird.
Look out! Sam F. Murray Abraham!
What?
What? Is that another LOL reference? I don't get that one.
I'm assuming, especially since he decided to put up a picture this time.
I don't even know who that is. That's the problem.
Just some actor with a big nose, I guess.
Okay.
He swallows the plane up, though I guess not too deep, seeing how there's still plenty of blue sky in sight. But Weiss has an idea. Oh god, now the storm's tongue is attacking us! What's going on? But it appears to not be enough.
I love the whole sand wall trick. It was beautiful, you bastard.
You don't need to impress me, Morty. Sadly, the only cure.
What?
Ow! He made a Rick and Morty reference.
Is that all of the joke? I don't
yes.
get it.
That's exactly what that was, and it was painful.
I'd like to imagine after that, Ninja's just in the Call of Duty, like, revive pose. Down on the ground with a fucking pistol.
Oh yeah, I'm flat on the ground and there's a little revive symbol above me. This is bad.
My
and you're holding a
whole
pistol too.
frame of reference for Nostalgia Critic is like 2008, so hearing him reference Rick and Morty feels really fucking weird.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
it's the most.
anachronistic almost.
It was the most modern reference, so it kind of just like slapped me in the face. Just went like, whoa.
Character I
Like,
sympathize
wow, he's really still doing this, huh?
with, the drunk who just wants to die gets killed. But if we're lucky, maybe we can go for 2. Yes! Very slowly! Eat him alive!
Very slowly.
Sadly, he's saved, but Imhotep hears them and sends his biggest threat yet. Mummies, they're actually there!
What?
What?
He's making a joke because they're not CGI.
But Imhotep, for the most part, wasn't CGI. Well,
yeah,
actually,
he was always actually there.
Well,
I know, but it's Doug.
Okay, you could probably make the argument for like phase 1, but phase 2, Imhotep afterwards, that was either a mocap actor or like just the guy with some dots on him.
Yeah, it was the guy, but he had like his mouth all tismed up. It was it was there. But yeah, I keep forgetting how far I have to lower the bar in order for any of this to pass as an actual joke.
Jake's gonna revive you.
Oh no. Yeah, honestly, don't bother. It's fine.
Just let Ninja die.
Just let me die.
Leave me! Leave me!
Yeah, you just start talking like Benny.
My God, they're actually right in front of us! I mean, really right there! It's not Jar Jar shit! Run! Oh, whoops, don't worry, we still got the fake shit over here.
Hey, Evan.
What is it?
So first, wow, that response to like that you had to like revive yourself from unconsciousness. So what else could this have looked like? I don't.
Dude, this guy's gonna have a bigger kill streak than Movie Bob on EFAP.
He just keeps on referencing the CGI. He's done it like 9 times, and it's just like every single time it's just lol bad CGI. It's like, is that all you have to say? Like, really? It's not that bad. It really isn't, especially for 1999. I mean, hell, like I think some of these effects look similar, if not better, to The Matrix. That was 99.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to compare this to like the silver shit from The Matrix. Like this is pretty decent looking for the time period.
Yeah, surprisingly playing the exact same effect doesn't make it look any more real. It still looks like a Smurf sneezed milk through his nose. The mummy of Imhotep's bride comes to life though, but before he can make...
So Anaxinamun wasn't his bride. It was just the affair they were having.
Yeah, it was his ego. He was necromantic simping.
God damn it. Is this what we've been reduced to? Memeing?
Literally cursed simping.
God
I
damn
mean,
it.
look at what we have to work with. I mean, we try and we like cover the parts of the movies that he's not even addressing, or when he makes criticism, we talk about like the thing he's criticizing. But, bruh, there's so little work. Oh, this CGI looks bad. I mean, it really doesn't.
It reminds me of the fucking Zack Snyder director commentary on 300, where he literally just goes, "Yeah, this scene, this was CGI. That scene, that wasn't CGI.
Did he really do
See
that?
this scene? Oh my god, dude, it's horrible. If you ever want to just go the fuck to sleep, put that shit on.
I might
It is
have
horrible. It's when I realized I was like, man, he has a very impressive visual style as a director, but holy shit, that dude is like either autistic or fucked up or something because he is boring as fuck. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
How do you make
You
something
take a cool movie and make it boring.
He takes his own cool movie and makes
I
it
know. I
boring.
was like,
think that's an
Jesus, what
extra
is wrong?
layer.
I was like, yeah, I've seen this movie like 6 times in theaters. It'll be great to watch the director's commentary, get some additional insight.
Yeah, it's like, damn it. Do you think he'd be upselling his work by being like, hey,
Oh
that
my
was really
god,
fun
it's
to make?
horrible. That's when I knew. I was like, fuck Zack Snyder.
Oh, it didn't. It didn't take fucking Sucker Punch for you to figure that out.
The visuals were cool. The story was puritanism.
Make the human sacrifice. Fraser saves the day. They forgot to subtitle that scene, so I'll just throw my own in.
You can infer that he wants them dead.
Is this how we joke? Is this a joke? Is this supposed to be Alfred? I don't know.
You can infer that he wants them dead, and then they are attacking. So he probably told them to kill them.
Nah, dude.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, the reason they didn't subtitle it is he literally had already said that 2 or 3 times. So the implication was he was saying it again.
No, it is weird they didn't subtitle it this time, but they subtitle it when the guards don't listen to him anymore. They do subtitle the kid Sepna. Like
Either way, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's not a big deal because I can do like basic like interpretation, like cinematic interpretation.
Oh yeah, we used to call them context clues, back in the day.
Yeah.
When things weren't just dumped out in exposition.
And for a creature as
also, I loved the scene of him like fucking swinging the sword around because like it's like he was swinging the sword as a baseball bat, and then you just
it's almost as if his character is untrained with how to use a sword.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. I love how he just decks the guy that's like trying to crawl over. Just fucking like, ugh. And then when he knees that guy, that mummy, in his like non-existing balls so hard he flies up a good few inches.
Powerful as a god.
Yeah, the way he fights is it carries that he's like really physically strong, but also not necessarily well trained in melee combat. He was trained to be a normal soldier.
I was going to say he's a brawler. He's a brawler, and you gave him a sword, so he's going to use the sword as a bat.
Yeah, he's not skilled. There's no technique to his style.
In fact, he literally hits the head away, and he does the full like the swing through you do with a bat when you hit the ball.
God, Imhotep doesn't really do that much outside of just watching them fight and go, thank God I'm not the butt-ugly CGI rock in the shitty-ass sequel. And when he does finally fight, he just utilizes more Mario Paint effects.
Okay. There's 2 things here. 1, that mouth. Good God. And 2, this was one of the criticisms we actually had about the movie, is that when he grabs Rick, he does the Terminator thing, where he just throws him around instead of using any of the tools he's been established to have to kill him immediately.
I always assumed that he's actually making him want to suffer because the Noxuna Moon was just killed again.
You could make that argument, but even then, he has magical ways of doing that that are better than...
Yeah, that's the thing.
I throw thee at a rock.
Well, Evan, what would you say is like the worst film that's done this trope? The like, I'm just gonna throw you around instead of just killing you. Because I always say Terminator Salvation is the most guilty of that.
Terminator Salvation's a good example of it. It was done in Hard Home and Game of Thrones with the White Walker Warrior. That's another one. It's like it kills one of the wildlings, and then after that it goes after John, and he just throws him around even though John doesn't have a sword, and it's just like, dude, just kill him. You've got a weapon. What the hell? I hate it. It was done in Mando season. It's done all over the place. I don't know if I'd say it's the worst one because they're all bad. It's always bad.
It's always bad, and it's one of, I think, the biggest problems we pulled from this movie is that this and also the way that he actually dies both make no sense. This one is more of a trope. This one we can actually draw a lot of references for because so many goddamn things do this, and I hate it. It's one of those things that just needs to die.
I think the reason I pointed out, like, I know Terminator is just one of the examples, but it's the one I point out to the most, because this T-800 could very clearly kill John, and also is throwing John hard enough that it should kill him, but John just keeps getting back up to be thrown even harder, I guess. it is just like the epitome of that fucking trope.
You know, call me crazy, but dropping your jaw like the Patrick the Starfish meme doesn't seem particularly scary. Look at that. Did the genie lend you some acting advice or something? This was meant to be a Disney film, right? But Weiss reads one last passage that takes away his invincibility, making him mortal.
I'm assuming that, like, yeah, Slur, you basically made the comparison to a lich, took away the soul, so therefore it's now just a pile of bones.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, look, another subtitle joke.
Yeah, which is really bad because,
like, also, I know they're like old gods, but again, man, come on, that's fairly culturally insensitive.
Of course, everything's...
We're almost there.
And this is basically the end of the third act, Slur, and I don't think he's pointed out any of the concerns that we brought up.
Yeah, of course he hasn't. Why would Doug point out any legit criticisms that don't?
Well, no, we were giving him the opportunity before the end of his terrible video to actually make a valid point. Doesn't look like he's going to do that.
Yeah, it was kind of the one hope I was holding out for the entire video's sake. You know, something that might actually spark a conversation. Instead, I'm over here in Photoshop just cropping out like big mouth Imhotep so I can Photoshop him into a soy jack meme. That's
maybe we'll get lucky and there'll be like 5 minutes of ads at the end.
Fucking Jake was saying you should put Imhotep Big Mouth into the jujitsu thing, but I think we've had
it won't fit.
His mouth won't fit.
Yeah. No, just put the eyes higher.
Starts falling apart and Benny is left behind in the treasure room.
Okay, I wanted to bring up this because this is like a point I wanted to say. Rick genuinely tried to get Benny out of there. No, he didn't like try his heart out, so like he'd sacrifice himself to do it. But he was just like, come on, like you can make it. And he probably would have thrashed him around in the desert, but then probably would have also at the same time led him back to civilization. Because at the end of the day, Benny was just a victim of circumstance. Like, and he stayed within his character, and his character was, I'm like willing to do anything to survive. It's really good. I really enjoy like the tiny little things about Benny's character writing.
Hello, we'll be your comeuppance for the evening.
This can only end in tears.
Copyright and go.
At least you'll very slowly eat me.
What dumbass told you that?
Very slowly.
He just cannot let go of it's like a fucking dog with a bone.
I think Rags needs to hear you say that.
I'm sorry, was that racist against dogs?
Yeah, it was very dog-phobic of you.
But I'm super straight, so it's okay.
I love that that's offensive now. I'm super straight.
Run, camels, run! I care more about you than any of the main characters!
Come on! You missed the fucking funniest thing to make fun of, Doug. You missed an obvious joke, which was when the fucking, like, thing was crumbling. It, like, folds the mountain in on itself, and it's just like, that's...
Oh, yeah, the whole temple getting destroyed thing is absolutely bonkers, even for this movie.
Because it was supposed to sink into the sand, but we get out, it shows, like, the mountains folding over and, like, exploding.
Yeah, like, the whole fucking mountain goes, like, 90 degrees. It's insane.
I'm only kissing you because I think I'm gonna get hanged later.
How about you, darling? Would you like a little kissy-wissy?
Well, it's no camel fart, but his entire character is close enough.
A good, I think that was a good reaction. Like,
I mean, the movie's joke was literally better than Doug's joke, so
that tends to happen.
It does. Yeah, I might be right. We might get 5 minutes of ads. This is the end right here.
Oh, please, fucking God.
Oh wait, he's got to tie it back to the first original Boris Karloff one. God damn it.
Hold on, I gotta show the meme you just made. Hold on.
Like, you don't have to. I mean, I made it in like 3 seconds. It's really not that worthwhile.
Yeah. Here
Literally
you go,
the
chat.
most low effort shit I could
Here you go,
possibly
chat.
imagine.
He made that. It's like the Russian Badger.
Yes.
Go ahead, Badge. Show us your meme. I mean,
Yeah, I actually dedicated some RAM of my computer and processing power to fucking open up an extra program just to make that. And even that minuscule effort was a waste.
So that was the remake, not the original, of The Mummy. Does it hold up? No, but I don't think...
Bullshit!
Please. You misrepresent the movie
why.
to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, citation
Yeah.
needed, please. I mean...
Because the CGI didn't age well from 1999.
But that's why it's supported by good writing. Haha. Good writing
And
always holds up.
characters that make sense and make
Yeah.
decisions
And
based
quick,
on what's
witty
in front of them
dialogue.
and the character. Oh god, the bar, it's so low, but so many people just don't reach it. Sad. And
But
I'm
The Last
tired.
Jedi, man, that's some crowning achievement shit.
I think that was really the point. It's kind of like a high-budget B-movie. Self-aware, silly, and over the top. Some would say the bigger budget makes it less of a B-movie, but look at these effects. They look like the effects of today's B-movies. So I feel like it still kind of qualifies. On top of that...
Today, like 20 years later?
Yeah, that's about accurate.
So Evan,
Because now the complaint would be if a movie was made in 2021 and had these kind of effects, we would say, yeah, that's a B movie. Your CGI is 20 years old.
I literally said that like earlier. I was like, you could say that this is bad CGI if this movie was released today, but it wasn't. This was 20 years ago.
Evan, if you just were, since you haven't seen the Mummy in quite a while, would you want to watch this surely off of what Doug had said, regardless of what we've been saying?
Doug hasn't been saying anything.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if this is actually what happened.
What basis of comparison does that even give him?
Yeah.
That's not fair to Evan. Put him on the spot like that. Jeez.
With all this nothingness, would you watch this movie? Because that's the thing. I'm trying to think of like the Nostalgia Critics audience. Because it's like, would this make somebody watch The Mummy? I don't know. I don't, because he doesn't say anything.
I don't know what this would make people do other than go, huh, and shrug and move on. I don't. This whole 30-minute video is just like a giant nothing burger.
That's kind of what the Nostalgia Critic videos do in terms of whether they make you want to watch the movie or not. They make you think, even if in the last few seconds he does his usual thing of like, oh, but here are my real thoughts. It's actually like well thought out. It's very heartwarming and blah 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 blah.
But at
the
least
rest of the video
Jeremy
makes me
Jahns and
think
Chris
it's
Stuckman
not
have the
worth
decency
watching.
to do that in 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's that. But they also don't have skits. Which actually,
Oh.
this entire video, we've been spared the skits.
No, it started with
I will
one.
give them points for that because
It started with
I
a
was
skit.
dreading it.
It's coming back too. I bet she's going to end it with one.
Oh no.
It
I
is still
almost had hope.
visually pleasant and fairly imaginative that I think for a silly little waste of time, it's fine. It's in no way comparable to the original, but I think even the makers of the film knew that it wasn't going to be.
He hasn't even said anything about the original to compare to. He hasn't shown any clips. He hasn't given it any praise or why is that one better than this one? Nothing.
Doug could have
For anyone who hasn't seen the original, you'd have nothing to base these claims off of.
I have nothing to base these on because I've never seen the original. So I'm just like, yep, Yep.
Well, you would think if he really wanted to shit on this version of the film, he would be like, let's compare this with something from the original and like play a scene or a clip or something.
I was actually
Nope.
about to say, he literally has a whole series about this called Old versus New. He could have done that. Played the original, and then played this remake. And like then be like, alright, this is different from this. And then I'd be like, okay, how does that objectively make it a better film?
The best way I can put it is enjoyably dated. Right, now we're gonna talk about the Mummy film that's worth talking about.
You said it, Critic.
No! Wait, what are you doing here?
I want to help you talk about the Mummy movie that's worth talking.
Who is that?
Oh, you never heard of the Angry Video Game Nerd?
Oh, I know him by reputation.
Yeah, that's James Rolfe, the Angry Video Game Nerd. They have a long-standing rivalry / friendship.
I don't think I've ever seen his actual face. Fair enough.
Am I the only one out of the four of us?
I don't care. Just let him play.
Yeah, let's hear him first before you try to big him up.
Well, sorry, I'm so excited because I see Nerd that I'm just like, oh yeah, hi Nerd.
Geek out on your own time, damn it.
About
Oh, of course, with your love of monster movies, it only makes sense that you want to talk about
the 2017 Tom Cruise version.
What are you, out of your mind?
No, but the movie is. It's one of the most dumbass reboots ever, and we need to talk about it.
Yeah, but what about the original Mummy?
You mean the 1932 classic with Boris Karloff and the Carriage series starring Lon Chaney Jr., or the 1959 Hammer version with Christopher Lee? You mean the good ones?
Wait, hold on. Christopher Lee? Christopher Lee was in a Mummy movie?
Yes.
No, he was in he played Dracula, I believe.
Yeah, he did. So did Bela Lugosi, who was like the original on-screen Dracula,
which I've never
and
seen
also
either.
a massive heroin addict.
Oh wow, fuck.
Different times, man. Different times.
Oh yeah. He was
when
also like a war veteran and shit. It was
Well,
it was a whole thing.
Heroin when it was like in cough drops.
It was the 50s. You're a little bit past that.
Oh,
point,
okay.
But yeah.
Talked about them on Cinemassacre. Here's the link.
Don't advertise your channel on my channel!
Look, everything about the classic versions has already been said. They're masterpieces. But this new one, we need to give it what it deserves.
Oh my god. So we're really ending Nostalgia Ween like this? Will it still even be October by the time this comes out?
It doesn't matter. To defend the honor of the classic mummies, we have to do this.
Fine. Alright. Next week, we'll review one of this year's biggest nostalgia cash grabs, resulting in one of this year's biggest bombs.
Oh, Amon-Ra, God of gods, death is but the doorway to new life. We live today.
So
we're not saying anything.
The
Chad,
end of the video isn't talking about the old mummy. It's advertising another video that'll be talking about the new mummy, while referencing that videos about the older mummy have already been made. I am exhausted down to my blood and fucking bones, man.
Yeah, that's why.
Never again.
Never again.
Yeah, I think we've exhausted Doug. Yeah.
We need to start a Y.A.R.P vault, and certain content creators, when they have disappointed us, they go into the Y.A.R.P vault, never to be
Young
covered.
Defiant and the Doug.
And High Top.
And High Top.
Wow, we're already okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Nothing burgers.
It's not even like that their takes are so Tismy or anything like that, because Tismy takes we can work with. But when they give us nothing,
yeah, I'd say
not even a jumping off point to have a conversation, because all they're doing is just vacuous bullshit about stuff that has nothing to do with whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I've literally gotten more from Chris Stuckman and Jeremy Johns in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, I agree. Like, they could be in the on the vault unless they release something insanely tismy. Then we'll talk about it if we.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get to be the one who scouts that out, because
yeah,
I know
that's
I
fine.
won't be.
That's fine. I'm the one that still apparently checks on Young Defiant, and when he made the video saying how like he became the king of YouTube, which is so fucking funny. Also,
I don't even think. I think this is the end. Like, I don't think
Yeah.
there's going to be anything else at this point. This is pretty much. I don't even think we should hang around for the skit because that's basically what this is.
It's like
Oh,
2
yeah, it's all
seconds later.
credits.
2 seconds.
Yeah.
We shall live again in many new forms.
Oh, shut up.
All right.
Wow, that was. I'm so glad we got the 2 seconds.
Well,
Well-
I don't like just cutting it off like that. I don't even think EFAP has ever just stopped covering of it. Evan, you'd know.
They definitely have.
No, they've done that before. They did it with the Quentin video with TRO, and they did it one other time. I forget when they turned off.
Well, they
the
just did it with
game.
Twin Perfect, didn't they?
No, they
Because
didn't. They
once
kept
he
going.
came on, they were like, it's not even worth finishing covering. Like,
Oh no, didn't they end
No,
up
they
doing it
soldiered it
anyway?
through. Yeah, they soldiered on through it.
Yeah, but
they
they
talked
seriously
about it.
brought it up as an option to like, do we
Yeah,
want to
they
just
were.
kind of stop now, or do we power through?
Oh wait, they also stopped with the I don't remember the name of the creator was. He had the Monster Hunter name. He hopped on for a second and said it was his first time doing something live, and then like he said like, oh yeah, that was completely wrong. And then they said like, yeah, well, I guess we're done watching it because he's admitted it's all completely
Oh
wrong.
yeah, I remember they used a bunch of Monster Hunter footage for their video, but I don't remember what they were talking about.
It was talking about Rags.
Oh yeah.
But he hopped
Yeah,
on.
that did not go well.
But he hopped on, pretty much said like, "Oh yeah, that was my first time doing something live. I clearly like everything was just wrong about that. I'm sorry." I think he did genuinely apologize. I don't remember.
Yeah, he pretty much was like it was a bad faith interpretation or whatever, and then just.
And they went like,
dropped
"All right,
it.
yeah." They dropped it because like, "All right, yeah, he clearly doesn't stand behind
It
the video."
was something Nergigante.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think with that we're gonna just fucking die.
We're going to release Evan's soul.
Yeah,
back into the world.
Evan, you could go. We might like. I know.
Thank you so much for sticking it out, though.
Yeah,
we really
thank you.
appreciate it.
We genuinely
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
you
you.
trying. You were just.
100%, dude. Happy to try to solve it.
Oh, seriously though, in better news, we're looking forward to the Sunday stream.
Yes, we're
looking forward to talking about WandaVision.
About that, I'm more passionate about WandaVision than the Mummy, and far more than I will ever be passionate for Doc Walker.
Honestly, I don't know if that's gonna go better or worse for you, but we'll find out. Fuck it.
Thank you for joining us. And thank you, chat, for apparently listening to us just lose our souls fucking to this bullshit.
See, this is the one time that I didn't have a handicap because I was ahead of y'all. I don't have one.
What?
I'm a redhead.
Gingers.
Oh, okay.
Gingers.
I thought you said like you don't have a chat when it's like.
No, I don't have a
open.
soul, so I had less to lose.
That's why when that joke, there was just a joke that just hit you and you just went down. It's like there was nothing there wasn't a soul to suck away, so he just punched you in the stomach and walked away.
Like, my sanity.
Thank you all for watching and good night.
Good night.